All right, and we are on the air. Pardon for being a couple of minutes late from the actual start, about 5 minutes or so. This is because of some technical hassle, some last minute uh, changes, and whatever. Some settings were like a little bit off, and all that stuff. But soon I will open the first beer can, shutting down some unnecessary windows here, and obviously I will be discussing you the new year. So happy New Year, by the way, 2025. We will have some beer over here. Obviously, I wouldn't be talking to you without beer. Oh, just kidding. I'm not alcoholic, but good beer is something. And obviously, these are sponsored by the Given Brewery, which I will show you in a bit. So, we will be talking about things about the new year. I will briefly mention something about last year's greatest albums and something, and more about that later. And you probably have some questions that you want answers for, so we'll do that. I'm just checking some random last minute emails if there's something. Anyhow, yeah, indeed, here we are, a couple of minutes in, and indeed, Happy New Year 2025. It's 4th of January, so we're already on the winning side of the new year. And originally, I was supposed to start this stream next weekend, but I figured out why not start the year with the very first weekend and let's get rolling about it. So instead of getting the recap of the last festival of the year this weekend, I decided to switch places. So nice to have you people here. And let's start with beer. Introducing, I have a couple of beers out there, uh, literally out there because it's freezing cold. This is F.O.A.B. First of all, let's start introducing the brewery, Malla Sepat, basically Malt Smith. This is a very local brewery nearby city who was so nice to give me a box of beer, 24 different cans of beer, not 24 different. I actually there's like two beers of each one. I can select them by myself because of my friend actually works with the brewery. He got green lighted that we could do collaboration. So Mala 7 has provided me beers and I will be enjoying them on streams. Today I have three different beers selected, and first of them is father of all beers, F.O.A.B, and this is New England Quadruple uh, IPA. So interesting thing. Here you have the hops are Mosaic and Citra, meaning the Ibu. Internet's bitterness unit is 60, which also means that it's supposed to be quite bitter, not overly, but quite. And here we have 11.5 strong. So seems like I'm happy to start with a strong beer. Let's make sure that I won't be drinking it too fast, or you will have a drunk streaming right along. All right. I don't know if there's noise canceling, canceling the sweet popping sound. Sometimes I think you get to hear it for a good reason, but really it could be the noise cancellation canceling it. Because this is IPA, it's supposed to be quite pale indeed. And also because this is New England IPA or NAPA, meaning it's unfiltered, which means it's not really clear, crystal clear, and all that stuff. So kind of not muddy, but you really can't see through it. And like I said, this is quadruple IPA, and they're like normal IPA, then there's double IPA, DPA, a triple IPA, 3PA, and the more you have these, the more bitter basically it's supposed to be and more strong. And usually already the 3PAs can be more than 10% strong. This is 11.5, so it's almost like having a glass of wine, really. Oh, holy Moses! It's strong. It's really cold, by the way, since it's outside. I've been chilling these beers for a couple of hours before the stream. So yeah, a strong, good start for 2025. I really do love my craft beers. And couple of things first. Once again, if you want to make sure that I'm gonna answer your comment or question, tag me just like Johnson Rocks did there. So tag Rauta, that will be then highlighted, and I will be more easy to see it, which means it won't be, buried in the mass of text, because sometimes you people, and that's a good thing, you text a lot, you like make a lot of comments and messages and blah blah blah, even answering your other people's comments or questions. So it's good, but it also means that sometimes I won't be able to see the comments. So I always go first with the tagged ones. And of course, if people want to make donations, totally voluntary, don't stress about it. But if you want to use the super chat, donate some money to Rauta, well, then of course I will be notified, and I will be obviously thanking you for that. There are other possibilities to donate money to Rauta in case you want. You can use PayPal, or you can just sign up for Patreon up to any months you want to. Obviously, with the highest degree of patrons, you will get like free CDs. Well, not technically speaking free since you're donating money, but anyway, you'll get CDs, you'll get shirt, tote bag, and some other stuff. For example, I already got notified that Jonger Rocks, one of the best supporters on Rauta's Patreon, he's gonna get delivered the next Rauta support item through Patreon site. So in case you want a support thing, that's what you can do. You can, like, I don't know, donate €1 or whatever, or you can donate much, or then just forget all about donating. There are obviously better causes in life than donating money to your uh, annoying streaming and YouTube guy. And in case you want to know, because I think you need to know how the money is used, in case you want to donate, it will be put into my Swiss bank account, which I will use on drugs and fast airplanes. No, no, sorry. Just kidding. Obviously, the money will be used for Rauta's travels, meaning festival hotels and festival plane tickets. That's pretty much how we use all the money from YouTube advertisement and from Patreon and other donations. It's not really that much, but helps to keep the channel going on, and meaning we are planning some trips. And that will be one of the topics of today, because obviously we're going to talk about year 2025, what kind of plans we have for Rauta, what changes there are already taken in place, and so forth. So now I'm going to greet everybody here who have already said something personally. So, second coming of Pip, Happy New Year. Timothy 2025, have a good year as well. Northbound, Happy New Year. Halbeard, Happy New Year. You too. Thank you. Ali Dinath, Happy New Year. Jerry and the team at Rauta, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you as well. Johnson Rocks, Happy New Year to you. To Sweden, Brian Mons, nice to have you here from Canada. Hi Leah, it's saying cheers, Happy New Year. Beer looks good. This is good, and Happy New Year to you as well. And Motibi is asking, I sound like nasally today. Yes, I do have a slight flu. Got a little bit flu after my last festival last weekend, and nothing during the festival, but my nose have been like doing this, making my sound totally weird for past few days. I mean, I've been able to work out normally and all that stuff, but I feel like my nose is quite full of something. It's almost like the Morbid Angel song "Where the Slime Live," and I'm like, yes, in my nose. So, pardon for a little bit of a weird speaking sound or voice. Uh, yes, Gignito, you're correct. Bacon beer makes everything better. Just like bacon beer makes everything better, indeed. And bacon beer, I mean, why not? Poopooty, hello, welcome to the stream. And Jackery, hyvää uutta vuotta. Happy New Year 2095 from Ranta. Nice to have you here as well. And Paramount's my Yule was pretty basic. It's the kind of a family season. We got a couple of bottles of whiskey, just dining together with the family. My father and his wife, and my own family members, and mother-in-law, and all that stuff. So just pretty basic. We always just dine big, and then the dogs start opening the Christmas presents. Well, we call it Yule, but technically same thing. And New Year, I was basically just going through with the flu. So some random fireworks outside, and enjoyed a couple of good craft beers watched some Silo episode, the TV series I've been following closely now for the second season. Actually, just before I came to do the stream, I was watching half an episode, what came latest out. And I hope that you had a good Yule New Year as well. And what else? Hello, Raven, and Happy New Year as well. And very much, yeah, I like to think that this kind of IPA beer is a good medicine. Now, like mentioned, please always tag me for guaranteed answer. And here we have the first proper question. Ally Denaya is asking some controversy around using AI's covers of the past few days. That's actually a topic I'm gonna dedicate a video about. I was really annoyed, kind of like not really annoyed, but irritated by Pestilence Mameli's comments about using once again AI art for album covers. And it's not so much like about using AI covers. I mean, Kerry King used something an AI like D-Side used AI for covers, and obviously a lot of other bands. Some do it with more taste. I mean, of course, with certain art, you use AI as a tool. Like even Photoshop these days helps to clean off the clutter and all that stuff. Like helps to select colors and all that stuff. So there are various ways to use AI. It's not like on and off. And we have to understand that AI is indeed a big part of all kind of things. Like even when you navigate to a place using your car's navigation system or your smartphone, that's AI in business. When you Google something, that's AI in business. So there are various levels of AI. And for example, I use some AI at my day job, for example, translating stuff, but that's only the starting point. And that comes with a twist. Now, obviously, you can choose AI to help you with the fine tuning and certain other tools when you create art. Like I'm talking about like creating cover art. But if you let AI generate it, because it's not really creating anything, it's just taking material and kind of generating more materials. Like you said, we want a skull and we want some clouds and we want some machine guns on the cover. Please also add goats. AI will try to figure it out. And while it's not really creating anything, it's generating using these prompts, these keywords, and then creating something that it's supposed to what the AI thinks. It's not really thinking. It's basically doing calculations, like trying to predict what you might be after with your prompts. So technically speaking, it tries to figure out what the user wants, and then it uses the given material what is already out there, to generate more of the same style. So obviously it depends to what kind of source material AI has access to. So if AI has access to say arch code or blasphemy cover art, and you ask for goats with black, red, and white coloring, obviously you will have more of that. But it's gonna be more soulless because there is no Chris Moyen or whatever creative artist like, hey, this time I'm gonna put some nuns on the top of cross and maybe bonfire and some goats playing a flute. AI is just trying to kind of basically copy these ideas and then throw some curveballs into the mix. It's not really creating but generating. So it's kind of like borrow or steal, depending how you want to see it, different ideas and then creating or generating the idea that you get to see. So for me, about creating, say, album cover, I don't want album covers created by AI for my own band. First of all, I value the cover artist, the people who actually paint, draw, fucking sculpt, whatever you do, create doodling. So I am ready to put my money or a label's money, hopefully, to create a cover art which is done by a real artist, not just AI. But obviously, I wouldn't mind if AI tools like say with Photoshop and all are being used to fine tune, or maybe you have some, I don't know, photograph which you want to use as a source material and you want to remove certain elements, like thinking about like movie editing, for example, or anything like video. You could basically like take something out of I don't know, some source material. Like, I don't know, take we had World War II material, and then you want to get remove some elements from that. Of course, AI can do it for you, so you don't have to do manual work. But still, the overall work would be by human being, and that's a big difference how you use AI. AI is supposed to be the helper who does this kind of a boring and time consuming job, like chores, like take out the trash, please. That's what AI is supposed to do, not create the art. Like there was this kind of a saying like uh, robots or artificial intelligence was supposed to take place for the boring work, like clean, make coffee, clean the windows, cook some food, unless you really enjoy cooking food or whatever, take care of the dishes, just boring stuff. So we as human beings have more time to create, be it paintings or playing guitar, read a book, whatever. Now it seems like people are like, we put AI to create something so we can focus on the boring stuff. And I don't fucking get it. Where's the fucking logic in that? It's almost like instead of like, I want to live and make something meaningful, it's like, hey, let AI do the fun stuff and I'm gonna do the fucking boring stuff. Like, what the fuck? It's like slaves to machine. Makes no fucking sense. So I'm definitely against AI covers, but obviously I don't mind if AI is being used as a tool, as a helper, a servant, slave, if you will, to help you out with the more, say, boring work, which would be like I used to do some, uh, not graphic design, but I used to do some graphic work at my ex day job some 20 years ago with Corel Draw, and sometimes I had to just clean some clutter from the image, like remove these fucking green dots. And then I would be like going like click, 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 click with my mouse. Now, obviously, if AI can do the cleaning, removing the clutter, of course it makes no fucking sense to let the computer do it, because it can be more so much faster and it can be so much more effective, because AI doesn't get like, oh, I'm tired, I need more coffee. AI just like does it. So obviously we use machines for that. It's really the same thing with like, I don't know, when you cook food, you put food in the oven and like, I'm gonna forget it there, and then my alarm is gonna wake me up in 40 minutes. Like, get the shit out of the oven, rather than doing it on a bonfire and doing the food manually. So things like that. So it's not really black and white, simplistic, like no AI at all or total AI. The sweet spot lies somewhere between. All right, and thank you, SK, so much for your donation. People need to know that SK, for example, he's the biggest supporter of Rauta of all times, all years. Nice dude who has been supporting Rauta's, uh, stuff, career, work, whatever you want to call it, throughout the years so much. I mean, basically, he has at least, I think, covered at least one whole trip to when we meaning me and my camera people travel to some place, because this kind of money really helps us to do the stuff. So once again, big thank you to SK. He's a big helper of the channel. He's almost like financing a lot of our work. So thank you, SK, for your awesome dedication supporting the channel. Thank you so much, and I hope you are having a good year 2025 so far. Okay, long answer to your AI question. Now I need a big gulp of beer. Hallbeard, I'm not sure if how much Kerry King's cover design used AI, but people said that there was a little bit of AI used. A little bit can be anything like 10 to 80%. So I don't know how much of that is true, but I got the impression it wasn't created by AI or generated, more like helping hand. But really, I don't know. Thank you, Brian Mons, also very much. Thank you for your help. You have been one of the key donators also in terms of money being put into Rauta's, well, adventures. Can we call it that? So thank you so much. Like I said, this money we get from YouTube or donations like the super chat. This is not used for my personal beer. I mean, I get this beer for free already. So once again, it will be used for the trips, which I am going to mention you today when we go over the stream and answer your questions and all that stuff. Rocks mentioned favorite cover artist is Necro Lord. Definitely one of my favorite too as well. And then there are artists like is it called Repke, who did some like Morbid Angel covers over the years and all that stuff. Unfortunately, my mind is not really that good with remembering the artist names like that. But since I grew up with comic books and all that, I mean, obviously I have always enjoyed the skill that people get to draw, paint, what have you, and like I'm really proud what we did with the Nightside cover. It's this Korean artist who was super fast and effective with his art, and when we get gave him like feedback like, no, we don't have mountains in Finland, you can't have mountains on the cover because that would seem like we're coming from Norway. He quickly just removed that from the sketch and created more tree line things, frozen sea, and all that stuff. And in case you want to know what I mean, do I really have the Nightside vinyl here? I'm going to show you what I mean. There is probably a vinyl somewhere here, but CD will do the trick since my own copy is here. For example, this is my own band's Nightside's second album cover, Death from the North, and he did great work. First of all, we wanted a skull to appear from the sky, but not clearly, more vaguely. So it's like as if forming out of a fog, and here it is, or fog or clouds. So while it's totally visible, you can see it's basically within the clouds and the mist and the fog. So obvious, but still a little bit like hiding, and that is obviously representing the death that is coming out of this golden climate, and basically cold is killing you. That's the point here. And I wanted some tree line, which is here. I even took some photos on my because we live in an island, and is a tree line just across the sea here to show what is this like. And then we wanted to have some snowy country, ground here, which means you got to see a little bit hay here because this is very Philistine kind of a thing. And then we wanted to have snow ground because this is supposed to be winter cover, and obviously we wanted to have some cold seawater. So sea is blue, obviously, and snow is white, and that's how this cover came to be. And if you take a look at them both sides, it looks like this. So here is more like a closed caption versus the whole idea with skull, and then again it was used here in different ways. And here you get to see the kind of images or themes kind of used in a different ways. And for us it was really perfect with this guy. I mean, he is Korean guy, obviously doesn't live in Finland, so we used a lot of images, photos, and paintings to give his idea what the color scheme should be all about. Bluish, whitish. It's supposed to look like it's cold, it's supposed to look like it's winter time, and it's supposed to look like it's gonna kill you, hence the skull. So the skull representing indeed the death, and the other colors and parts are just giving you an impression that we're coming from Finland because we're a Finnish band, obviously. So this is kind of like giving you the idea that we are now in Finland, not Norway with the mountains or fjords, and the cold, the winter is going to kill you because that's literally what happens. I mean, go travel outside, and now winter time, especially now that it's frozen, and you will obviously start shivering, and eventually, cold will kill you, much like drought can kill you, lack of water. Or if you go to warmer places, obviously the heat can kill you as well. So, I mean, if we lived in, I don't know, Middle East, maybe our themes could be death from the East or death from, I don't know, Persia. And that could be totally different in terms of the atmosphere, feeling, colors used, and all. but still it could be about the same thing. Once again, the environment is something that's going to kill you. It doesn't matter if you have the money of Elon Musk or whatever, it's going to kill you. Even if you're strong and all, but once you are at the mercy of the elements surrounding us, cold or you know drought or heat, you will die. So uh, it doesn't even have to involve other living beings like poisonous animals or beasts with fangs and whatever. You don't need to have a fucking leopard or lion or whatever to eat you, or crocodile, or piranhas, or poisonous spiders, snakes, whatever. It just can you get just die because it's fucking cold. And that's the story of it. We wanted to be kind of a realistic and also kind of a nihilistic, but also related to nature and where we are coming from. So there's a story if you like, and this is of course reflected with the lyrics as well. All right, Erik, oli hyvä joulu ja uusi vuosi, kiitos vaan kysymyksestä. All right, more questions. Once again, tag me if you want to see me me answering your questions. Paul is looking forward to the new upcoming Dark Throne album, or asking me to do it. No, I'm not looking forward to it. Past three Dark Throne albums have been big disappointments, like among the worst of Dark Throne ever. So no, I'm not expecting. I'm not expecting anything interesting from Dark Throne. Pupure, glad you liked the new Archcode interview. I'm really happy that we got it done. I'm so much more happier about the new Archcode interview because this time we got more stuff versus the early one, which was done in like 2018 or so. And we got new stories, we got some updated situations, and we got them tackling the very thing of getting canceled or fear of getting canceled and all. So yeah, I don't know. And Pupu, there will be some Archcode gigs in Finland, but I don't know when. Yeah, Michael, we totally need black metal gig in Rauma. We used to play with Nightside in Rauma. Uh, I think it was 1999, and nothing but good memories. Made some friends because of that trip. Actually, it's so funny that our keyboard player Lari is from Rauma, and it was because of his brother Yuri who was there to actually welcome us to Rauma from 1999, and that's the story. 25 years ago, we made friends with these brothers, and now the other brother is in our own band, Nightside. So sometimes sweet turns come happen. SK, don't worry about it. If it got denied, no worries. Don't worry about it. What else? Oh, Halbert, the Korean dude is coming to Steelfest. That's great news. I gotta shake his hand for great work and all that stuff. That's great. Thank you, SK. I'm happy that if you like the cover of Nightside, that makes me happy too because I'm really proud that this time we had this proper discussion with the artist, not like back in the days. I mean, obviously back in the days you gave some ideas like you should have this and that, but you know, uh, we didn't understand how important it is to have this conversation between the band and the cover artist. So obviously now we were a lot smarter. Oh, Joe Blake got some nice Christmas presents. That's good. Ginger Rocks, yeah, Wildfire of Winter is a good example, like how winter can really literally kill you. So there's that. Hello, terrorized from Queensland. Nice to have you here as well. You've been active on the channel, so thank you for your comments and all. On Ginger Rocks, I have actually reviewed some album by Bergriesen. I think only one though, but so I can say I vaguely know it. Oh, Beef 2000 is asking my one of my favorite questions ever. I'm even wondering how many people realize that I've been a video gamer about 40 years now, and since I've been working in video game industry for almost 30 years, obviously I'm an avid gamer. Yeah, some of my favorite video games. Top three is very, very easy to list for me because I used to play World of Warcraft for so many years with some real life friends and as well as some Danish, British, Danish, whatever people. I mentioned Danish two times. So what I'm mentioning is trying to say here that with the Swedes and Danes and British people, Scottish too, we had some really good time on World of Warcraft for a few years. I think I played 6 years in total. I was at the guild master at one point, maybe because I'm so talkative and organized person and ready to write a lot of instructions and solving guild drama and that's kind of stuff. So yeah, World of Warcraft would be my number one game of all times because of the social aspect. So it wasn't just pushing the buttons and exploring the world, which is itself was great. But yeah, World of Warcraft for the overall package, fucking great game. So my favorite game of all times. The second slot and my favorite single player game of all time would be Grand Theft Auto 5. Why? Because the game is so detailed. There's a good story, great characters, so much freedom to do all kind of stuff, whether it's shooting, driving, flying, solving weird side missions, and or just exploring the world and causing chaos. So I really like GTA 5, and obviously I'm stoked for GTA 6, my most anticipated game ever since GTA 5. No, on third spot I would have Red Dead Redemption 2 because it's basically Western world game of GDI, but it's obviously quite different also. More slow gaming, and of course it's less chaotic because there are no helicopters or tanks or machine guns or whatever. But I mean, the detail is once again outstanding with Red Dead Redemption, and I really like the first Red Dead Redemption as well. 10 out of 10 for me. And obviously I grew up with Western movies because I'm the generation who was born in the 70s. So in the 80s we got Western movies on Finnish television. Like there was this Western movie of a month or whatever. So when because I grew up with old Western movies, Clint Eastwood and older ones, you know, they become important thing for us, and I still enjoy Western movies to this day. There's some grittiness and some kind of a I mean, the whole idea that you live in a frontier and you're fighting the natives, and a lot of the so-called good guys are, bad guys in a way. And then also these Lone Star heroes made, Wild West, and very, very important for me. So obviously, Red Dead Redemption, made a big impact on me because Western Wild West movies and then the freedom of GTA games. So great stuff. Apart from those three, which are the kind of absolute top three, I'm a big fan of Civilization games. Been playing Civilization since the first one came out in the like 1990 or so. And I've loved that kind of a strategy, exploring the world, developing new inventions and fighting different countries, diplomacy and all. What else? Well, back in the days when I was kid, Commodore 64 was our computer. Archon, the kind of battle chess game, that was a fucking big thing for us because it was so great multiplayer, kind of a one versus one kind of a thing, a duel, really. And that was a fucking great game back in the days. It was the light versus dark kind of a theme, which really also got me going because, of course, I was a fantasy geek already when I was a kid. Growing up with role playing games and Marvel comics, Conan the Barbarian comics, and all that stuff. So I've always been fascinated with both sci-fi, like Star Wars and shit, and also fantasy. I mean, I was kind of a late bloomer when it comes to Tolkien. But I mean, all those Dungeons and Dragons moments, Conan the Barbarians, you know, barbarians, fighters, wizards, elves, orcs, what have you. Always really fascinating me to, fight big ass monsters and dragons and all that stuff. So, kind of goes without saying that obviously I'm a big fan of games like Baldur's Gate and anything related to Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40,000, all goes. So, for example, one of the highlight games for me last year, was Space Marine 2 because that Warhammer world is so gritty, so ultra violent, and so merciless. There are no good guys, only bad guys, and even worse guys. So, I think my computer game or video game style is quite varied, but I'm not a fan of, say, sports games. Driving games occasionally, especially if it's like something like open world gaming like Forza. Um, but mostly I play, shooters, especially Far Cry. Far Cry series is great. And obviously I grew up with Doom and Quake and all. So shooters, first person shooters, third person shooters, among my favorite styles. Role playing games, and I don't mean action role playing games like Diablo, but more like Baldur's Gate and the like. They have been some of my favorite games, and that's also the reason why I liked World of Warcraft and the stuff. And I don't know. Maybe that kind of got the overall feeling. In general, I prefer action in open world games. If there are role playing elements, that's good, but they're not mandatory. My Some of my late favorites have been those Spider-Man games, by Sony, because that's like my childhood dream. Marvel comics, and I obviously grew up with Spider-Man. Is like my number one hero. And nowadays, it's not that great of a character, but I mean, I like the movies and I really liked the comic books when I was a kid. And, that with combined real world, open world city, New York, where I've been 3 times and I really like New York. So when you combine virtual New York, one of my favorite cities ever, with Spider Man, one of my childhood heroes, and the open world style with great controls and all that stuff, obviously it was fucking match made in heaven, kind of a thing. So it's almost like when you find the perfect musicians for a black metal band, you say marriage made in hell, but in a positive way. So yeah, those are some of the things. And never been ashamed of my video game background and or role playing for that matter, because I think we are as human beings, we're supposed to you know tickle our brain with some kind of activity, and playing games either solo or socially with other people, it can be great pastime stuff. And it can really video games where I really like versus books or movies. Versus books, obviously you have the soundscape, you have voice acting, you have great music, and you have great graphics. So some people say in defend of books, like, yeah, but it's your imagination working. Yeah, sure, but it's also very, very solo thing. It's kind of an introvert thing to enjoy books. And because I love music over anything else in the world, maybe apart from sex, uh, that's why I really like when there is sound and music, and I love good voice acting too. And books don't have it. Now, you could say the argument about movies, but movies have real people, acting roles, and there is music, there is sound effects, there are fine details. Yeah, yeah, I get it. It's great. But games have interaction. I get to choose if I fail or succeed. And as such, games are for me the number one art or entertainment form, apart from music, which is obviously part of the thing with TV series, with video games, with movies. So, as such, maybe doesn't really surprise any of you that I've also been listening to, movie and video game soundtracks almost as long as I've been listening to metal. So some of my earliest CDs, for example, are movie soundtracks, which you will see some of them when you go to through the list of me going through my record collection video series, which has been stalling a little bit lately because of my other listening projects. I'm still kind of stuck in letter D, but I'm soon gonna finish it, and then I will explore that So in that video series where I show all my CDs and explain why I have them and why I like them, you will see some soundtracks with that. And among one of the first ones I ever had was The Thing, the horror movie, which is my all-time horror movie favorite. Is there because it's so haunting, and that kind of explains the bridge between metal music, especially black metal, and ambient and soundtrack. When it's dark and it's evil sounding and it's sinister, I'm gonna like it. Doesn't matter if it's fucking pop music, if it's fucking dark and sinister. Those are some of the key themes that I really go with, no matter what the music style is. So yeah, for me, there's a clear bridge between, music I like, music I make, and video gaming, movies, TV shows, whatever. So I guess you can safely call me a fucking nerd geek. I don't give a fuck. I'm too base for that. But yeah, long answer to your simple questions, but there it is. Like I said, I'm gonna answer first your questions which are tagged. Ginger Ross asking, like he said, he likes DayZ game. I never tried it, but I feel fascinating about it. But yeah, I haven't played it myself. Hello, Matzloch Vegiria. Welcome to the stream. Brian Mons is asking, who's my favorite Marvel character? Kind of a hard question because for various reasons there are a few. Now, if you count Conan the Barbarian as Marvel character, even though not superhero, super villain, or anything like that, I would say that. But when it comes to the real Marvel characters, like the super heroes or super villains, I would say I'm kind of divided between Wolverine because he was always so cool and badass, but also a man of sensibility, and Deadpool and Punisher. Punisher was also, especially during the Punisher Warzone uh, series of comic books, Punisher was so cold. I mean, he was a man of justice, killing criminals and all, much like the Dexter guy in the Dexter TV series. But he was also so fucking nihilistic in a way. Like there was no value, intrinsic value in human life. You just gonna get killed if you wrong Punisher. So I kind of liked him. Wolverine had more of a better moral compass, if you will. Wolverine was more of a hero, even if a little bit outside of your typical, X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four character line and all. And Deadpool. Deadpool is just a wacko character, goofy, weird, and also super effective with his powers. And I like how he's, breaking the so-called fourth wall. Basically like, hey, I'm here, looking on your screen and all. So I also like Deadpool movies a lot. So yeah, I guess my top three Marvel characters would be Wolverine, Punisher, and Deadpool. But there are individual characters which I really like a lot. Like especially the later era Iron Man is really cool. And Gambit from old X-Men was very wild character with the Canadian kind of a not super social, not superhero like kind of a stuff. So yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, naturally, we're talking about Marvel now because people ask me what kind of video games I like, and then I started rambling about the past with comic books and all, and I was talking about Spider-Man games and all. So I just wanted to explain why certain themes are so important to me because I grew up with comic books. Like I started reading Marvel comics when I was 5 or 6 years old, and when I got, access to Spider-Man stuff, it was all the way through. First was Marvel, then came Star Wars and fantasy games along the way, Conan the Barbarian around when I was 10 or so. So they're all very connected. Fantasy, sci-fi, superheroes. I mean, it's all fantasy shit in the end. And that's very much connected with the more fantasy related metal styles like black metal and death metal. Black metal obviously is kind of a related to topics such as the devil and how the world could be if we wanted to be that way. But also a lot of lyrics deal with, angels and demons and devils and shit, which are not really real creatures to a lot of people out there. So, I mean, in my opinion, a lot of stuff in extreme metal is very, very much based on fantasy. Black metal comes more, in my opinion, more from the role playing and video game background, or books. I mean, just look at the old Horna stuff. You can translate it if you want, and you will see two overlapping themes. For example, I will go this through in my Horna retrospective video, which I'm doing at the moment. But old Horna lyrics, for example, you see Tolkien themes with orcs and armies, riding wolves and shit, you know, goblins, whatever. And then you have also these anti-Christian themes. So you're like asking, like, so how come these orcs are suddenly against, Christianity? So are these supposed to be the armies of Sauron from Middle Earth? So not really in the same world as we live in, which has things like Christianity or Islam or whatever. But no, they are like kind of intertwined. So like all the Horror lyrics, you can really see like we are the orcs and we're fighting Christianity. So a little bit like Burzum lyrics, like take a little bit of that Burzum stuff and then just combine it with, I don't know, some Graveland or whatever. It's kind of crazy. Over the years, of course, Horton's changed the style, but that kind of just shows how important all this fantasy work and in imagination and Tolkien and other stuff like was there from the get-go. And of course there are bands like Summoning, which are just dedicated to all the Tolkien worship. So in my opinion, a lot of these fantasy themes have to do with extreme metal, and that of course goes beyond the scope of black metal. Because if you're talking about death metal, think about all the serial killer fantasies or tortures and whatever, like from Cannibal Corpse and the like. I mean, that's just kind of a basic violent fantasy stuff. That's more like horror movie stuff. Once again, really more based in fantasy rather than real life. There are real life grind and death metal bands which are based about like real serial killers or torturers or whatever, but most of the stuff isn't really based on reality. Whereas when we're talking about grind and thrash, then it goes more about society, like overpopulation or poverty, injustice, things like that. So it gets more into punky ways. But the farther you go from punk into the world of death metal, black metal, and beyond, yeah, it really goes into fantasy world. So it's not that far fetched to see bands doing lyrics like Game of Thrones or Star Wars. I mean, if you people have ever wondered, look at the Wonder cover. If you remember the Swedish black metal side project Wonder, there's a fucking Star Wars theme in one of the covers. Or ever figured out that Immortals Pure Holocaust actually has a riff which is basically a stolen piece from John Williams of Star Wars, the Imperial March. Makes a perfect black metal riff, but just also shows you how much these black metal and death metal world is really taking inspiration from fantasy themes or sci-fi for that matter. Then again, I don't really think that Star Trek with the utopian and themes would really work in terms of black metal and all. It's just too uplifting and too happy and all that stuff. So maybe the dystopian things like, I don't know, cyberpunk could work so much better. But usually bands that are more inspired by cyberpunk suddenly start doing some kind of a industrial thing, which is like Billy Idol doing cyberpunk, and then you're like fucking face palming, like why the fuck do you do that? But really, if you think about the grittiness and kind of a sinister and dark, rainy reality of cyberpunk themes and worlds, that could really translate to something like dark space or mysticum for that matter. So kind of a dark, full of violence and full of darkness and all that stuff, and you don't really need to have any kind of a industrial thing really. But mysticum, for example, could work for that. Drugs and and all that kind of a nihilistic and that dark reality that would go work well. Okay, sorry, now I got carried away with the answers and all. Paul was asking, have I not listened to the album they put out in 2024? Which band are you talking about? Dark Throne or something? If so, I heard Doc. Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, you mentioned Doc Throne's new album for 2024 was really dull. The vocals are outright bad. So, past three albums by Doc Throne, maybe 6 out of 10 or so. Hello, Zach from Arizona. Nice to have you there. Arizona, sweet memories of that place. Papa Kias is asking, have I ever been in a fight during concerts? No, I've given some elbow when someone tried to do some weird things, but people, for some reason, never seem to pick a fight with me. So there's that. Raven is asking, can I have a request of our interview at Steelfest? Yeah, ad hominem. That would be high on the list. Can't say for sure. Maybe it will happen, maybe don't. I know just one thing: Abzu and maybe Sarcophago will be quite high on the possibility if I get to choose the bands. But I don't know. Abzu is, in my opinion, quite likely to happen because Abzu's proscriptor was, part of the Zemial interview in 2019, and there was a, in my opinion, nice chemistry going on. But about ad hominem, I don't really know. Gotta ask if the guys are up for that. And hello, Miloš from Serbia. Michael, I think there are satanic video games, but they are not just mainstream ones. I guess it's hard to get a budget, financing for satanic topics and all. Miloš is having Etko Ver Double Impala. Fantastic beer. Sounds good to me. Whatever. Yeah, Thorns. New Thorns album is supposed to happen. So let's keep our eyes peeled for that. Oh, SK, it's nice that you have so many hours in Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm kind of surprised that you don't like GTA. Mike Necrofan is asking how I feel about harsh noise and power electronics music. Let me put it this way: I can't enjoy it too much, so that I would like to listen to that kind of stuff on CD, whatever. But I've been to a few, noise, power electronics, and beyond kind of shows, and they can be very, very entertaining. So, kind of divided. More of a live music for me. And nice Tacoma from USA is mentioned there. Oh, Chandra Rocks, now to mention Wizard of War. Yeah, that was a great game and Commodore 64. And I should totally start Baldur's Gate 3 once I have the time. Currently, I'm playing, by the way, Star Wars Outlaws because I love Star Wars and now, open world games. So, yeah. John Blake, I'm definitely very excited to see Henry Cavill in Warhammer. I think he's a great geeky actor and I like his charisma. So, yeah, he should be total perfect match for Warhammer. Witcher 3 is still, by the way, something that I need to start eventually. And Netroid, you had a Halo soundtrack. That's ace. Halo had some great teams. Yeah, my favorite soundtrack is, by the way, Conan the Barbarian, obviously. I presented that when I was going through letter C in my collection video. Ben is asking, have I heard Diabolical Full Moon? Name rings a bell, but I'm not really sure. And how many albums per week or month I buy on average? I hard to buy albums during a year because I get so many review albums that I don't really have so much need to buy. I more like put notes on my to buy list, and then I try to buy them eventually. But it's not like I buy albums every month. There is no need for that. I am getting pickier by every year. So yeah, Papa is asking, "Am I pro-Israel?" No, I'm more like anti-Israel, anti-Palestine. I'm not pro anything. Um, Paul is asking, "Have I heard Dark Throne's 2024 album?" Yes, I have heard all Dark Throne albums, and I think they are quite shite. Gingerbread Rocks, I haven't seen Riket, but I know people say great things about that series. I should watch it, yeah. But my favorite TV series is by no contest. It's Oz. Fucking great. Um, what else? Yeah, Lord of the Rings movies were great. Yeah, John Blake, I think you're totally correct with Emperor. Like thinking like fantasy music. Halbeard, I totally agree with your comparison of Bible being kind of a uh, Bible with another aspect or aesthetic. Yeah, in a way, it's all that stuff, but it's not so much about believing in this given God or whatever. And yeah, Lord of the Rings have some Finnish words even because Tolkien wanted to use some Finnish thing, I think, for elves and shit. Paul, what about doom metal? What are you asking? Please, people, tag me if you want to make sure that I answer you. Um, Paul is saying your face is so masculine. I don't think my face is masculine. I have this miniature chin. Masculine people have big, big wide chin. Just like Henry Cavill. I have this small chin that is not appealing to women. And I don't even have a proper beard. I mean, I don't get the nice sideburns. I just get this stupid, you know, stupid hair growing. So I don't feel that masculine myself. Yeah. All right, let's get a little bit beer refill. Maslow did ask you what I think about Kuhn Palvelus label. I cannot say I know Kuhn Palvelus label. Sounds too small a label. I haven't even heard it. I totally understand why SK hates country music. When I was in the United States, driving this road trip, and we had switched for some humor element to a local countryside radio channel. It was like face palming with the lyrics and all. So I don't know, man. Kind of like what the fuck. Yeah, Netroid, I totally agree with you. How Doctron, how they fallen. I agree. In my opinion, Doctron hasn't really done a good album for I don't know 16, 18 years. So yeah, Netroid, you got finally listening to Satanic Black Devotion. Yeah, it's the best Sargeist. So I'm happy that you gave the retrospective video a go. And yeah, like you said, I don't know how you feel about Chatterock returning to vocals. I think that remains to be seen, but I wouldn't put my money on it that Chatterock would be the best, uh, Sargeist vocalist because he was clearly the worst Horna vocalist ever. So I don't know how it will work live and all. Hello, Necrodeus Land. Hello, Blood. How are you doing? No, Paul, this isn't pineapple juice, even though it surely looks like that. Yeah, Raven. Let's hope that ad hominem interview would happen. It would be great to do it, definitely. Naturally, I'm so happy that your wife is playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Melancholia, hello from Germany. Welcome. Hello. Have I ever lives to do moonlight sorcery? No, really. No. But I can definitely interview them if they're up for that. Uh, Jay, I don't see myself interviewing Nordjävel in 25 because I just interviewed them like in 23. So Nordjävel interviews so fresh. There is no need to do another one just yet. John Blake, I also need to play Jedi Survivor. So there's that. I recluse a lot from Germany. Cheers to Germany as well. Nothing but good memories of Germany. And by the way, I forgot I was supposed to tell you about the festivals we're going to. Germany's on my list. I'll get a new beer and start telling you. But I will first read some of the comments and see if there are some interesting ones I need to comment. Uh, Ally Deniath failed to type Rauta, but there's Rauda. Um, if you were ever to interview a band or person that is no longer with us, who would it be and what would you want to ask the most? Obviously, my number one of all deceased people would be Gorton because I'm a big Bathory fan and there is no denying that, Bathory made a big impact uh, with the, what you call it, like, I don't know, this camera suddenly zoomed. You see some weird items in the fireplace. So, Bathory made so much big impact for the whole black metal scene. So obviously, I would definitely, he would be my number one choice. The second one would be Chuck Schuldiner because that is my all-time favorite death metal band. Third one would be probably Cliff Burton of Metallica because, well, I grew up with Metallica and Burton was a more or less of a genius in a way. And fourth one, I don't know. I'm thinking of Dimebag Darrell because he was a phenomenal guitar player, and Pantera was a big name for me back in the days. And of course, there would be Euronymous, because with Mayhem and with his own, Helvete shop and all. So there are quite a few deceased people I would love to interview and pick their brains about like what happened. So yeah, those would be probably the top five. Maslow, I don't know if I will be doing streams on Twitch for foreseeable future. First of all, I kind of gave up on game streaming. There were barely no people on the stream, so I kind of gave it up. And if I'm gonna stream, I'm probably gonna just put it on YouTube, but like my secondary channel, Rauta Beyond. Yes, Paul is being weird with his questions. Marduk666 asking if I'm attending Helsinki Festival this year. Most likely. First of all, it happens on my birthday, and I'm gonna be 50 this fucking year. Yes, I'm that fucking old. So it's gonna be perfect. 15 years birthday party for me. There are some great bands like Enslaved, Marduk, King Diamond, I guess, for Helsinki Metal Festival. So yeah, supposed to be there, and hopefully this year I get to do actually some interviews because last year didn't happen. So let's hope. And nice to have some Greek people over here because Greek people are the nicest on earth. Paul was asking me about feeling doom metal when we are talking about punk politics and fantasy death metal. Yeah, well, I find doom metal is maybe more interesting in terms of lyrics and the feeling, the atmosphere, and all. But personally, I don't really resonate that much with doom metal. Most doom metal is just too boring to me. Julian Golodzier. Hello, terve Rauta. Hello. Brand new Deus Mortem record. Haven't yet heard it. Was nice to see them live last year and do the interview. And I guess it will be interesting to see them at Steelfest as well. SK made a perfect comment. Paul would be only looking at Jerry's face in sauna. Oh, that would be fucking awkward. Hello, Cecilia Taylor. Nice to have you here. And now, give me a couple of minutes. I'm gonna, just flush my empty beer glass and get another beer. So give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes to midnight. Sorry, you had to hear me singing a little bit because when I get a little bit tipsy, no, I fucking hate karaoke, but sometimes it's fun to do bad heavy metal vocals. Did I ever mention that apart from my love for music and sex and powerlifting and combat sports, I also like craft beer. This time we have some nice one from um, Malla Sepat. Now I need to actually put it here as a message to my friend, so I won't forget these tags, time tags. Hold on. I'm gonna type it in. Father of all beers. Let me type it in. Um, Vanilla macchiato. So here we are, the second beer of the evening or stream, because it's technically speaking midnight already. Mallasepat Vanilla Macchiato Imperial Stout. And now we're raising the bar almost. 10.4%. I'm gonna be fucking drunk by the end of the stream. Vanilla, coffee, milk, sugar. So wish me the best. Maybe you will get to see some tipsy Rauta on the stream. Let's open up the can and say pop. Here we are popping up the can. And this is supposed to be dark. As you can see, this is almost like coffee or oil put into my beer glass. And here we have it. Nice, kind of like nice foam here. Just a thin layer, which you can see here, and giving this. Even my nose is a little bit stuck due to the flu. You can still smell the vanilla, and you can also obviously smell the coffee. So it's right there, and as you can see, mind the stains and fingerprints and all. As you can see, this is real black. So if there is a black metal beer, it's something like this. So black rather than brown. See the middle finger. Oh my goodness. This is strong and good. Oh, this is like firing up my taste buds. Like, fuck. This is so delicious and weird. Whoa. All right. Back to your questions. And once again, reading first the ones that are tagged. Scrolling back to Roope. Karjoja was asking how important satanic themes in black metal are to you personally. Well, first of all, I consider black metal mostly being related to topics such as satanic ones, darkness, evil, etc. So I would say they are fairly important. I am not so strict that I think all black metal should be about satanic topics, but in my opinion, they are in the very core, the very essence of black metal. So when you remove that part from the whole deal, doesn't have to be literal ones. They can be very very metaphoric. I think something is missing. But that being said, I also don't see so much writing satanic themes these days myself. But go back to say older lyrics by Nightside, and you will see Satan and satanic topics mentioned there. So I find them are like key parts, and that's why I think Sargai's lyrics, for example, are in the very core of that stuff. Not to mention Behexen, but yeah, it can be, of course, more than that. But yeah, I think satanic themes are in the very core of black metal. And yeah, as such, they really, really defined a lot of black metal, especially in the past. 11 is asking me thoughts of Ukrainian bands like Hate Forest and 1914. I still haven't been listening to 1914, but Hate Forest is pretty cool. Though I always felt like Druth is more better musically and atmospheric wise than Hate Forest, which was more like a boneheaded version. But I haven't heard all the Hate Forest albums, so can I really comment it? I, however, don't feel like Hate Forest is that NSBM band people consider it to be. So there's that. Brian Moon's favorite Sargeist album is Let the Devil In. I can totally understand it because it's good. I mean, all the Sargeist albums are very consistent. There are no drops or jumps in Sargeist discography, like I mentioned. So, yeah. Dixon is asking a good question. What do I think will be the next big thing in the metal scene in the future, like in the immediate future or far future? Um, well, it's really hard to guess what it will be in the far future because usually the farther we go from the present moment, the harder it is. Any kind of a science fiction or whatever to foresee what will happen in the future. So I won't say what will happen, say in 25 years in black metal, but in the foreseeable future, say next 5 years. I think there will be some new kind of topics to make the shock. Now, back in the early days, obviously being anti-Christianity was the thing. When we were talking about Venom or Bathory or whatever, that was all you needed to have. Then obviously people kind of got more immune to okay, they're anti-Christian, so what? It's not a big deal. And people wanted to have new ways to shock people and also expand the territory beyond your typical Satanism and or anti-Christianity. So I think at that point, this some kind of a broader sense of nihilism was presented. That was then again followed in early 2000s the expanding of NSBM, and most of the bands which were flirting with these themes were not really into politics to begin with. So they're kind of separated from the NSBM on the long run. But for a while, it seemed to be a lot of bands had to say something about national socialism and all that stuff. So following the pattern here, I think a lot of bands will try to find a new way to shock because it seems to be a default value for so many bands in black metal or extreme metal scene in general that you need to shock. It's not like suddenly it's not enough to be smart and sing about topics which can be relevant. It's almost like you have to find a new shock value. But then again, this is always more or less related how young you are. When you're in your late teens or early 20s, you're kind of like you want to shock the system, you want to rock the establishment. And as such, I think it's kind of bound to happen with younger bands. When you're hitting your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're kind of approach from a more realistic approach and maybe less fantasy stuff and all. So obviously a lot of bands have gone through this momentum change, paradigm shift or whatever it's called, with the how the topics are. So when people like my generation, I'm turning 50, when they're like there will be new generation, they will see us, we're the kind of a boomers, we're the kind of uncles and all those weird old crazy dads who are gonna fade into death and all, and that the world is to be taken by a new generation, and they will do some kind of new shocking thing. In a way, I kind of want to say RABM is already the new wave to shock the system. So it's like whatever started with satanic themes were then followed by nihilism, then it was followed by Nazism, and now it's being followed by anti-fascism and also this kind of anarchism. So red anarchist black metal, RABM, is the now to the shock to the system because it will create shock. Some would even say that when you have topics like nihilistic ones or even the national socialistic ones, they are kind of all like pro-establishment in a way. No, well, nihilism will never be that, but people will say that when you're, for example, the 1488 kind of a mentality with the NSBM and all, it's actually like supporting the growth of people and all. So it's more like going with the conservative Christian values and all. So there is no shock really. except for the part that where it gets into racistic and all. So when you have the RIBM thing somehow injected into the scene, that's going to shock because it's going to divide people. So you could, in a way, say that, in a way, all these Antifa bands, for example, are already the next shock to the system. But I think that will, wear down like all the previous versions in extreme metal sense. So there has to be some new thing happening. Maybe it will be fundamentally more anti-Islam, or maybe it will be even firing against more of the woke, but not from the national socialistic ways. Maybe there will be even pro woke bands, but from another perspective than Antifa. So I don't know. Then again, trends seem to come and go. So remember, like a few years ago, 80s or 90s were trending. So it's almost like when the cycle is complete, a new cycle begins. So maybe we will go back to early ways of black metal and start once again talking about satanic things, but in a different ways, more updated version than what we had in the 80s, or in Venom's case, late 70s, or Black Sabbath for that matter, if you were to go that far, even outside black metal. So I think the new trends will come into play, and they will challenge a lot of old values, because once people are like so bored with NSBM being the kind of a standard evil, they want to shock the system in a new way. And that's what RABM in a way, or Antifa things, did. But eventually people will get bored with that, because they will see, okay, it's once again the standard, the default setting, and then they want to shock that default setting once again. So it's like resetting. So once you have certain established values or settings, you want to shock them again, and then things will change. And I think it will be a kind of a standard thing for resetting the system. So very good question in my opinion. Mothibi is asking, what is my favorite stand-up comedian? I don't know if there's a outright one stand-up comedian which is outright my, like, just like that, my absolute favorite. But I consider myself a fan of Pablo Francisco, and he made with great tones and all. So he's definitely one of them. And George Carlin is one of my favorites, being more nihilistic in a way, or at least cynical about system and realities of life. Jim Jeffries and Burr, whatever Burr's name first name was, some of my favorites, because they are kind of dirty and at the same time on the very topic of human life, modern days. And of course, these fine gentleman from UK. I just can't get the name in my head, but it will come to my head, and I will mention it when it does. More questions I've been tagged to. Yeah, Halbert, thank you for reminding me about the festival, Acrobatic Arts. I will mention it soon. Um, Maslowd is asking, what is my favorite impression of 2012 movie, Black Metal Unexplored Fringes, with Lava and Accessory and Streborg? Haven't seen it. It sounds like maybe not my cup of tea. All right, I'm gonna quickly try to browse through the previous questions, and then I will be talk about the plans for 2025. And Cameron Great Grip was asking my impression of a country song. Okay, here it goes, the Fluish version. Satanic country song. Well, I was riding along with Satan on my shoulder, and I got this meet the Christian fellow. I grabbed my 6 shooters and shoot him in the face, and devil comes to my place and says, I got you some ace. Ding, 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 ding. Sorry for that. Not sorry. So, yeah, Cecilia Taylor came in just for country music slander. What else? Oh, not already. So you have a a black satanic black devotion, but haven't been listening to a while. I got it correct. All right. Mm. This is not Plaga, Julian. This is not Plaga shirt, but a Finnish band called Flag. It's actually a very good friend of mine whose solo project this is. Though he has session drummer from I think Poland and session vocalist from Malum, the Finnish black metal band from the same city. And Mr. Flag is also played on Annihilator's second album, which is my band. Now doing the third album, by the way. Julian, I don't know how many CDs I have. I'm thinking roughly maybe 700 because I try to sell as many as I'm buying or putting into my collection. Michael, I'm aware that Bathory's father was boss. That was mentioned with the so many interviews and of course the Bathory book I reviewed recently. SK gonna be 41 in a couple of weeks. That's good age. Michael's birthday is at Steelfest. That's fucking great. Julian, I don't know when Mikko's point of view will happen, if ever, but I mentioned it briefly in November when I met Mikko in my home city. So let's see. L might be a hot femboy. Never know. Well, nobody says no to hot femboys. I mean, look at those hot femboys from Thailand, and you are like surely to get hotter looking femboys than a lot of gals in the world. Cecilia Taylor, what was scary? Hello, Lex Beltram. This is great, tasty beer. Are we going to see Marty tonight? I don't know. Marty is not present here. My thoughts on Heineken. It's piss. I would give it 2 out of 5. Hello, Nevermore Rules. Nice to have you here. Yes, Nevermore. You missed a few streams lately, I think. Julian, I think Clandestine Blaze is very, very consistent. I don't really have obvious top 3 Clandestine Blaze albums. What else? Fuck, I'm bleeding from the ear. But yeah, I think like Junjur mentioned, maybe Feast of the Northern Destroyer is the top 3. It's funny that Willie mentioned Starbucks HR in terms of RABM because I happen to be a Starbucks coffee fan. They make great coffee. Oh, Halbeard, did you noticed how Canon Fever was more or less accidentally uh, mentioned with NSBM? We talked about it on Discord. But the NSBM, while it's kind of anti-establishment, it's also pro-establishment in a way. And in my opinion, NSBM is too life-loving to be proper black metal. Challenge me on that. Yeah, Joe Roland, I totally agree. Like when you have album like The Mystery Storm Sathanas, you don't really need extra shocking value. It's great thing. Yeah, Mothi being away, AI black metal is the new evil. People gonna hate AI stuff. Yes, thank you. I believe official channel Ricky Gervais is the one I was thinking about. One of the best stand-up comedians. And I agree with once again with Gyro Lamb. If you can be provoking and shocking, but if you don't have good music, nobody gives a shit. I mean, Absurd wouldn't be so much of a big deal if they didn't make touchy albums and all. Yeah, Steve Hughes is a good stand-up comedian. Oh, Vaisky is saying some nice words. Thank you, Vaisky. Really enjoy the work of your band Annihilatus. The early releases had quite a unique sound. What were the inspirations in your musical endeavors? Vaisky, to answer your question, I really love when there are questions I can really answer easily. Well, for Annihilators, there were always like three different bands that at least affected Annihilators. Both are for war metal themes, so death metal. Ilion for sheer, primitive black metal feeling. And of course, Celtic Frost and Dark Throne, certain kind of riffing. So I think those three were the fundamental ones for Annihilators. So it was never as much as like war metal tends to be, even though the topics of war were always in the core of Annihilators ever since our first demo, which was recorded in 1999. The very late, I mean, I remember we joked that it will be the first demo of 2000s because I think we finalized some of the songs with the mixing and all the last day of 1999. So when we finally got it out, it was 2000, and there was already, this sample taken from my favorite movie of all times, Apocalypse Now, because of the sheer nihilism and the war themes and all. But musically, it was more maybe Iliarn, Dark Throne, Celtic Frost, and thematically more like Bolt Thrower. Later on, of course, the things have a little bit changed. And now that we are working on the third album, which has been more or less like 90% ready for like 4 or 5 years now, it's in the mixing process, really. Suddenly, my bandmate got the energy or inspiration to finalize it, even though the most of the songs have been recorded years ago. Now some of the songs feel a little bit like old. Like, did we really write that stuff? Like, there are songs which were with the working titles buried, and I've never been too much of a buried, you know, listener or fan. But when I was listening to now the song I did some 4 or 5 years ago, I really like. Okay, this is kind of a buried. And there's a song which was had a working title of Vaughn. Well, you will once you hear it, you will figure it out. Then there was a song called like Satyricon because it's more like this rock and roll style in a way. Maybe it's kind of too weird for for Annihilators. Uh, some songs I guess have certain Carpathian Forest kind of a vibe to it. But then again, I'm kind of too biased to see these things, as such because it's my own band. So I can only talk about the inspirations. I cannot really say how they're supposed to sound and all. But yeah, both are Iliarn, Celtic Frost, and I like to say Slayer somewhere in the back of my head. It's always going to be inspiring. Cecilia Taylor, thank you for saying your words that I'm funny, but I don't know if that was sarcastic or real. Best black metal documentary. So far, I think has been this Norwegian thing, um, which was about the series, which had a lot of thing about the mayhem in the beginning, and then a little bit Dark Throne in the mix and all that stuff. But it was canceled, I guess, out of budgeting things. But I was done wondering what the fuck was its name. I think it was Helvete something something something. Elvis Presley is smiling. Yeah, Bill Burr is really one of the favorite ones in terms of stand-up comedians. Yep, Cameron, great grip. If country could only have the awesome lyrics, well, I could probably write better lyrics if I had the time. I just had to improvise a little bit goofy country stuff. Lucas, that's a great idea. Planning to revive the exercise and futility workout videos. Yeah, I should. And I kind of made the promise to myself that uh, I, when Rauta was started, it was supposed to have like hand in hand metal music as well as my workout routines and all. But I've kind of forgotten to do workout videos. I guess I should bring them back to the game because I want to inspire people to work out, being mentally the best they can be as well as physically. I know I'm relatively good shape in physical sense, but obviously I could be a lot better. Uh, but then again, I'm not complaining. I'm relatively strong among my own friends, really. So I guess I'm doing relatively good. So thank you, Lucas, for reminding. I should definitely get back to exercising futility workout videos. And of course, M1 name gave it a perfect name for this video series and all. So, talking about these festivals, I promised to tell you like already an hour ago. Now I will actually do the final questions. Sorry, answers to your questions where you have tagged me, and then I will talk about the plans. Maslov was asking, have I been involved somehow in these debates around pestilence statements and AI in general? Yes, I have. I have commented it on many Facebook occasions, and I'm making my own statement about pestilence AI cover art thing. Hopefully next week. What's my favorite song on DMDS? That's really hard question because I think all the songs are so fucking good. In a way, I like to say Freezing Moon or Fear of Fog, but really it could be just anything. So I don't know if I even have the favorite ones. But Freezing Moon and Fear of Fog, they're so fucking catchy. And when people are like, "Oh, extreme metal is not supposed to be catchy," with their emo hair, I'm like, "Fuck you." When I listen to say songs like Jesus Taught by Burzum, I take the Mysteries of Satanas, I take some Dijksson songs, some Dark Throne songs. I'm like, here's some catchiness for you, motherfuckers. Music can, and in my opinion, also should be to a certain level catchy. Black metal or any other kind of metal. Why not to make memorable riffs if you can? So yeah, DMDS is one of the best black metal albums of all times. Raven was asking what I was told that the Goatmoon interview, what was planned a few years ago, didn't happen. Did Black Goat deny? Yes, he did. The Black Goat interview or Goatmoon interview was supposed to happen around 2019, 2018 or so, but eventually he kind of backpedaled. He said that he doesn't want to do the interview anymore. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to push you about it. But I still hear people asking me. The first few years was kind of annoying because I had to mention it on some of the announcements that we're supposed to do Gold Moon interview. And then people would ask me every few months, when is Gold Moon interview coming out? I'm like, no, it's not happening. He said no. And this was already as early as like, I think 2020, 2021, around to COVID anyway. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to push the guy. If he wants to do one, sure, let's do it. But if not, I'm not going to ask him many, many times. It's, asking bands for interview and begging them to do it's almost as desperate as if you're like asking a girl out many times, mind you. And basically, the only one I've been asking a few times, but because he first said yes and he really hasn't said no, is Mikko Aspo of Clandestine Blaze. But apart from that, I usually have, if I get no, I'm not going to ask many times. I'm going to maybe ask second time. And if I get no, then it's like, okay, fuck off. Hude Huttunen was asking, how about Fergjur Perkeleen very awesome album of 2024? I only heard it like once. And then I kind of forgot to hear more Fergjord because maybe I was like, maybe review copy will come here and I will review it, but never came. So I kind of forgot to review it. Listen to it more than that. But yeah, Fergjord is a good band for sure. And Dukes B was asking thoughts of Endesma. Yes, Tron Nefas played on that, but it's nowhere near as good as say Urgehal, which is one of my favorite Norwegian black metal bands. Now I'm gonna use this time now that we're 90 minutes in the stream to talk about a little bit future of 2025 in terms of Rauta. So obviously, we always, or I always plan a little bit ahead what's going to happen in terms of festivals and whatnot. And this always depends on how much budget we have, because no budget, no traveling. Very fucking simple. It's easy to do the domestic ones like Turku Saatanalla in my home city in March, or Steelfest, which is only like 2 hours drive. I don't really need money for that trip to happen because there are no flights, there are no expensive hotels. That's easy to take care of. So Turku Saatanali Steelfest will likely happen every fucking year until I die. Helsinki Metal Festival, pretty much the same plan. The only costs are if I have to, book a hotel or whatever, which seems likely this year as well. Last year we were there with, my band Nightside. We had this hotel room for 6 people, and the band paid the bill, the hotel room, because we got some money from the gigs and we decided to finance like that. So it was easy. But in terms of, traveling, now this year I decided we're gonna skip Inferno 2025. First of all, while I love Oslo, I've been always having good times in Oslo and Inferno Festival. This year it doesn't really seem it's worth my money, meaning your money also, because a lot of people you watch this channel and some of you fund this like SK, Brian Mons, whatever. People come, funding through Patreon like John Rocks. So people are putting money into Rauta, and I'm thinking how we can make that money work. Now, it doesn't make sense for me to travel with my cameraman to a festival where there are no bands that I haven't even interviewed yet and won't do it. Or if the bands that are the biggest ones I have already interviewed. So look at the Inferno 2025. The biggest bands. Let's see. I will open it here, like Inferno Festival 2025. I'm gonna give you the reasons because obviously I wasn't making a preview video of the whole event. So we'll take a look at the Inferno 2020. You won't be able to see it, but in case you wanna check it out, here is the link. So Inferno 2025. It's 4 days festival, which is great. Oslo is great city, always great people, and I kind of want to go there just for friends. But when I see the bands, let's see. First, headliner Abbath. I've tried to get interview like 3 times, always no. So doesn't make sense to go there. And I've seen the band already 3 times within like past 4 years, 3 years. 1349. Yeah, it would be great to interview them because I saw them in October in Finland, and we didn't have the time to do the interview. They were like ready to do it, but they had to leave right after the show, and we couldn't do it before the show. So we've decided let's do it another time. But at least the guy said yes. But that's about it. Saturicon, we already did it this year. Sorry, 2024 at Beyond the Gates. Behemoth, another band which I would like to interview, but I've tried like a couple of times and the answer has been no. So I was like, fuck it. Batushka, they actually said yes at Steelfest, but it's not that big of a deal. Septic Flesh, I would like to do them at some point, but it's not that great of a band for me personally, so nope. Running Christ, I once asked, but it didn't happen. And I've seen them many times live, so personally, it's not for me a reason to do it. Tudor, I would have to see live, but I already did the interview 2 years ago, so nope. What about Tiamat? I asked them last time that when they played in Finland, they didn't do interview, and personally, it's not really my cup of tea. So nope. Kalisa, not my thing probably. Or Noir already done twice. Nagelfar would be nice, but is that great of a band that I would put them all the money? Nope. And then it gets smaller. Yeah, Necrophobic would be nice to see an interview, sure, but is it worth the money? Probably not. Blood Incantations, done. Cadaver, done. Then they have the smaller bands like Coven, Shamas, and Garia, done. At some point, Negative Plane, done. And then I'm looking at the list. So basically, the ones that I could get are the smaller ones. And I'm thinking, okay, this would cost for 4 days, quite a bit on the flights, quite a bit on the hotel. And I'm thinking, maybe it's not worth the money because you people with your time and your effort when you open the video, I see it's a statistic what you're looking at, and I don't want to waste my time and money and shit on the bands that I'm not personally so much curious to see for the how many times. and especially when they have been asked, and certain bands don't do the interviews for whatever reason. So for me, Inferno 2025, if I was purely shellfish, I would just go there nonetheless. And then we would probably have a few smaller bands, and maybe some people would be totally happy about it. But for me, it's not reason enough to go there. So instead, for example, this year I was thinking Acronytic Arts. It's only 2 days, so it's going to be cheaper. But also, all the bands in the lineup are pretty much something that I haven't seen, apart from, I guess, Horna Rife. And that's one band that we already agreed to do interview with, but couldn't do because the guys got sick. So I was like, maybe this could be the place. And besides, I've never been to a festival in Germany, so I was thinking of this 2 days festival in Essen, run by Von Records, that I could meet some new people, to see a new city, to see some new bands which have never played in Finland. And most of the bands haven't even played in Norway with Beyond the Gates or Inferno, or in Finland Steelfest at Turku Saatana. I would see some new bands. I would actually get to interview some bands which are not that common to see on these festival lineups, and like this would make so much more sense. Now, another one which I am very happy to go to this year as well is Beyond the Gates 2024. Sorry, 2025, obviously. And why? Because the lineup is great, and I've enjoyed Bergen even more than Oslo. And also, the lineup has more bands that I want to see and interview. So as much as as much as it annoys me to skip Inferno 25, it actually just makes more sense, because if we're spending Rauta's time and money, and especially the money which is harder to come by than time, Acronic Arts is gonna take place in April. So there's nothing happening then except Inferno, but this is like week before that, and Inferno we're gonna skip. And Beyond the Gates is in August, which means that we're probably left enough cash to do third foreign trip. Usually we have had like two foreign trips, which is Inferno and Beyond the Gates, or Inferno and Midgårdsblot. But Midgårdsblot seems to be recycling a lot of the same bands that Inferno and Beyond the Gates are already doing. I mean, it's always the same Norwegian bands: Emperor, Mayhem, Tåke, Gorgoroth, and 1349 above, whatever. And I wouldn't be surprised if Immortal eventually made a comeback with Demonas and all. So don't get me wrong, but eventually when you go to these certain events time and time again, year after year after year, you will see the same bands happening and playing again and again and again. And to be honest, I don't have to see Emperor every year, or Gorgoroth, Tåke, whatever we're talking about. I mean, as great the music is, like for example, there was this time like last year, I realized it would be like a fifth Gorgoroth show within like 3 years. Same for Tåke. Don't get me wrong, I like the guys and I like the music. Tåke, I mean, Hest, great guy, and we have good chemistry and all, but I don't have to see the band every 6 months or so. And the same goes for my own band. If somebody was to ask, like, wouldn't you like to see the same fans every 6 months? I mean, like, obviously, I don't mind if some fans would come to our show every 6 months, but I mean, I wouldn't be hurt if they decided, like, I don't have to see the same band for every 2 years. Maybe once in a 5 years is enough. So, sure. So, my point here is, because we are not big in cash, Rauta is not making big money. It's not like I can travel every fucking weekend. So if I can make like 2 or 3 foreign trips with the whole year of saving money, I have to be more careful how I spend it. And nothing against Inferno as such. Like I said, I love being in Oslo. I love meeting friends, and it's a great venue, great event, and all. But when there are not enough bands I get to interview, like, what's the point for me to go there? I want to go to places where I can see new bands and interview the new bands, or have something new and fresh content for you to enjoy. So this is pretty much the plan for year 2025 when it comes to uh, Rauta and all that stuff. Obviously, the more money we get in by donation, by YouTube, by Patreon, the more we can travel and the more interviews we can do. But the changes are not that big from year to year. So usually it means a couple of festivals outside Finland, two or three inside Finland, and that's pretty much of it. All right. Uh, more, more questions. Tagging. Hellbeard is saying to get the other Nagelfar at that current regards. Yeah, that would be great. Let's see if that happens. Um, yes, Brian Mons, Under the Black Sun is something that I hope that we, as Nightside, get to play, and also would be great for Rauta. And personally, I am trying to uh, tell the people at the festivals that if you get Nightside and Rauta, you get like two birds with one stone, because once you get Nightside to play there, you also get the Rauta guy to do the interviews, because guitarist guy has helped me as a camera guy, and of course it would be easy to just take my main guy Arto, the camera guy, with us in case we're going. So obviously I'm trying to do double work shift like we did in Helsinki at the Cult of Darkness festival in September. When we got to play there, that's when the new Arts Code interview happened. That's when the X of Comor interview happened. So I was like a double shift. First we play, first we did the Arts Code interview, then we played at Nightside, then we, did another interview. So obviously I'm trying to, make all the trips count, and that's, in my opinion, some of the best things I get to do when traveling. If possible, I try to do both the band gig as well as interview. I hope to do it. So let's see. And yeah, of course, these streams are great tools to connect with you, dear audience, and all. So let's hope it will happen. What he is asking, would I do open to do vlog or behind the scenes videos of the festivals I attend? We have actually done some of those stuff. Maybe not so much behind the scenes, but for example, last year I did this walk around both at the Inferno Festival as well as Beyond the Gates, showing the people the surroundings and all that stuff. So I don't know if that's what you mean, but it's easy to do a little bit, other than just interviews and all. All right, now I'm gonna read some of the comments once again here on the backlog. Um, have I ever heard of Polish band Kataksu? I have even reviewed some of the Kataksu albums for Rauta. It's not really, in my opinion, that great of a band. So, yeah. Um, Hello, Ivanus. Happy New Year to you as well. So who would you guys like to interview in 2025? It totally depends in the given festivals. If I get to interview of all the bands in the world, for black metal, it would be Darkthrone and Burzum, who don't do gigs. And apart from that, I don't know, Metallica and Rammstein. So those would be my top four bands to interview in the year 2025. I believe now that you mentioned Malum from Norway, we were already joking in that they don't have metal archives in Norway because there is Malum from Finland, which is a lot older than the Norwegian one. But I haven't yet heard the Norwegian one, so there's that. Julian is saying the best black metal documental movie, Loputon Gehenna Lieki, right, Jerry? Because I was in that. Well, it's one of the best ones, really, but because it was so honest about Finnish black metal scene. Der Svarte Alvor is not that good, but it was kind of a cool. So I would say Helvete and Loputon Gehenna Lieki are definitely the top two black metal documentaries for me. Oh yeah, Vaisky, thanks for your comments about Annihilatus. Yeah, I know Annihilatus is kind of a weird uh, black metal band because it's not really your typical black metal in the terms of sound and vocal representation, not to mention riffs and lyrics. Like there was this friend of mine who I was told had said something like the music is good, but lyrics are nonsense. And I think I know to what song he was referring to because our previous Annihilated song album had this song called Anti Magic, which was literal middle finger to religious black metal bands and those who believe in spells and magic and into occult. So yeah, I think he was referring to that. And I believe yes, black metal can and should be, in my opinion, catchy when we're talking about proper songwriting. Uh, and yeah, SK, there is also Malum from Norway, not just from Finland. The Finnish band is a lot older than the Norwegian Malum. And yes, indeed, black metal can be catchy while sounding evil. Just think about the Mysteries Dom Satanas, or fucking Bathory for that matter. By the way, people were mentioning the latest Goat Moon album. This is the review pile I got today from the Post Automat and has newest Hail Conjurer, has Reptile Womb's latest album, Wakboth album, some flyers, some more flyers, some notes for the album, stickers, and what the fuck is this? En Salvacion. Well, nonetheless, here it goes. These are some of the stuff I'm gonna review lately. What is this? Burial. Fuck, this is hard to read with no glasses. Well, something, 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 something. Maybe you know. And once you mentioned Goat Moon, Goat Moon's Alien Terminator. Here it is for review. So you can expect something of these next couple of weeks, I guess. Maybe not next week. Next week is already done, but the end of um before the end of January, I guess. Yeah, I get your disappointment about the Goat Moon interview not happening. If it was up to me, obviously we would have done it already 5 years ago. But things are what they are. Sometimes musicians change their mind, and that's more likely to happen within black metal than and any other style, I guess. Black metal people can be so erratic in a way. And talking about MQA, MJLA, like some people say, is, in my opinion, the best Polish band along the line with Graveland. Hector Garcia from California. Nice to have you here, Hector. Raven, yes, I interviewed Juder just before they made the new album. Just before they released the new album in 2023. So check it out. Netherred was asking why would Abad be ducking Rauta. I don't think it's nothing personal with Rauta. Actually, Abad had already agreed to do Rauta interview in 2023, but I was told headache and whatnot were there along the way, and later on, some people said about drugs at the second occasion. So I was thinking maybe Abath is not in condition to do video interviews. This is just my educated guess. Nobody mentioned it. I don't think it's a rockstar mentality. It's just some people cannot handle certain stuff, and that's why video interviews are not possible to do. 11 is saying like he is not Nazi at all, but thinks NSBM is way more anti-establishment. Well, it depends. Um, in a way, a lot of people are gonna say NSBM is anti-establishment because they represent values that are not accepted by the majority. Sure. Then again, a lot of things which are happening in Europe right now are exactly aligned with NSBM. I mean, think about like, you know, making more white kids in the world. So basically, by the very core value, along the lines of past Adolf Hitler, they are very much pro-establishment. Maybe not today, but in a way, they are more about let's procreate, let's have conservative values and all that stuff. So there is that. So maybe it's not so much it's happening because Venice being by default is like kind of like the obvious villains. But when you look at the core values, like let's make the world a better place and make people more like us in a way. I mean, that's pretty pro-establishment to me, versus the more nihilistic things which NSBM doesn't really align with. Lucas is saying third as a leader would be nice, showing showing up as Marty. First of all, there has to be only one Azazel interview, not two. But oh yeah, you mentioned that. Maybe Marty can interview Azazel at some point. I don't know. And not really. Yeah, it would be fun to interview Nurgle's brain tumor. I mean, in general, I've interviewed Nurgle back in the day. Uh, that this was something like 15 years ago. Nurgle was a really, really chill and nice guy. So, I mean, personally, no problem with Behemoth or Nurgle at all. But I don't know why these interviews are not happening. Maybe Rauta is not big enough, or maybe Nurgle feels like that could get him into trouble if I was asking, I don't know, hard questions and all. It's really hard for me to say why Behemoth interview hasn't been happening because I've been actually asking that to Inferno, the drummer, and maybe Nurgle just doesn't like doing video interviews in the first place, unless he gets to control them. Because he did one with the Inferno Festival, live audience and all that stuff. So I don't know. Lorenzo Bini is asking, does having bands on a festival bill that you didn't interviewed yet influence your choice in which festival you want to attend? Yes, definitely. For me, attending festival is a based on two values basically, and that is the bands I want to see, like as a metal fan, and the bands I want to interview. So if it's all about the bands I've already seen a million times, and like why would I go? And if it's also about like okay, these bands would be nice to see, but there's no interviews going to happen, what doesn't make any sense to go? So there's that. And Raven, I agree with Gorgoroth. Gorgoroth is kind of a too safe in terms of set list and all that stuff. But I mean, Gorgoroth is great live, but I still feel annoyed that it's pretty much a safe bet. Hector Garcia, I agreed that 1349, 1314, Dutch Fair, or whatever. Yeah, it should be interesting. I tried to get Immortal interview, by the way, a couple of years ago because I know Demonas is also living in Bergen, and I was there, but I was told at the time by Immortal's label that the interview is not possible. Um, Antonio Manchuri says, like, what would be a good review and share histories about the two great bands, Diaboli and Thigh Serpent? Well, guess what, Antonio? Good news for you. I'm actually gonna include both bands, Diaboli and Thigh Serpent, in my Finnish black metal series later on. So that will happen. Yeah, not really exactly. Nothing that crazy is really happening at the shows or behind the scenes. It's mostly like people just being friendly to one another, maybe getting a little bit drunk and maybe getting drugs and all that stuff. But most of the time, nothing too crazy happens at festivals behind the scenes anyway. Yeah, that spelling Omega interview would be interesting, but I don't think it's possible to set it up. Natural, in a way, I think you could say Annihilate is more almost more death metal than black metal. I mean, I don't care either way, but yeah. So I guess you know sometimes these things overlap. Lucas is asking, saying, "Are we alone in the universe?" Most likely, we are not. Which wine am I drinking? Not wine, but this vanilla macchiato imperial stout by Sepat, a local brewery who gave me this, provided these beers for the streams. This is, as you can see, vanilla, coffee, milk, sugar. Uh, Strong 10% strong beer here, which is why I'm getting tipsy. By the way, not ready. We have a Christian holiday on Monday, means we don't have to work on Monday. And not ready. No, I don't think Aspa would ever talk about DSO. He's not the guy. Martin the Rabbath. That's a great idea. What do I think about bands like Conquer and Revenge? Well, personally, I think they're too much like one trick ponies. In a way, they're like war metal, wearing grind metal clothes. So maybe in a way, Revenge and Conqueror are actually grind metal for black metal people. The kind of a people who said like Napalm Death is too much on the left. All the grind bands are too much on the left. They are too much about society. They're too much like hardcore punk and trash. What we need is to have black metal equivalent to the grind, and that's where, hey, I'm Revenge. Hey, I'm Conquer. This other brother. I've seen Revenge play live, and while it was very extreme, it also got a tad bit boring because you have like one song or one concept of a song being repeated. So Canadian war metal tends to be a little bit of like worst of best, both worlds, death metal and black metal. I believe he's asking if I'm gonna do a Finnish black metal documentary. No, I think my video series on the channel is just enough of it. But yeah, I'm doing video series about Finnish black metal from the 90s, and there are already 3 episodes out. And so once I'm done with the Beheksen and Horna discographies, a fourth episode will be out as well. Hude Hutton is asking, Blood Red Fog released a new album. Yeah, I would be definitely ready to interview Blood Red Fog if the band is ready to do an interview. Rob Hellfire, what do you mean, fog or blaga? What's the question? Dukes is asking me thoughts on black gaze. Black gaze. Now it sounds like porn style, to be honest. Now I know obviously what black gaze means. It means falling into black metal and shoegaze. Uh, in my opinion, it's a really made up genre because when you go far enough, away from black metal into atmospheric black metal, and you end up staring at your shoes, you are shoegazing. This is so DSPM. We're gonna play some Alsa's covers. Let's cry. But let's also remind you, we're a black metal band, so we're serious, we're nihilistic and all. But we have to cry a little bit because we're black gays, or we're like shoegaze, man. I don't know. Sounds to me like an identity crisis, really. That's what I think about black gays. Yeah, not great. I mean, don't get me started with with the werewolf just like giving the middle finger to black metal trends and pure death metal Annihilate this album because Annihilate is other guy He's a really good guitar guy, and he does great death metal stuff. And because my roots are as much into death metal than black metal, that could really happen. So don't get me started. um, Rob's favorite video in Turku Saatana is when Sora is coming to cause mayhem with being high and drunk. Yeah, that's great stuff. The Christian crew. Yeah, Rob Hellfire. This is really good beer. We have really good beer in Finland too. TV Bleak from the UK. Nice to have some British people here. No apologies needed. That wasn't really great British English. Um. Yep, Raven. I told I he Mr. Senior Voland is a Facebook friend of mine, and we talked about the possibility of interview and all, but he said the band is in the past, no need to do interview and all. Yeah, Antichrist Siege Machine is pretty interesting, and they like the channel. They actually gave me a shout out in one of the podcasts, so would be cool to do Antichrist Siege Machine interview at some point. Yeah, naturally, you're not wrong when you say war metal is just black metal crime. That's so often what it is. I mean, it's more like let's take some death metal things, like the heaviness and the growly vocals and the high tempos with a little bit different production, but let's also take this black metal grimness and rawness and all that stuff and let's play it fast. And then you're like, what the fuck? You just used black metal production to play death grind, and that doesn't really work, man. Antonio Manchur, any comment about offer mode vocalist and the gigs cancellation, drug problems? I actually mentioned the black metal drama recently with offer mode vocalist thing, so that already been dealt with the video. But I mean, it seems like the offer mode vocalist is in good terms with Rauta and all, so that's taken care of. Willie K. Now you nailed it. Black gaze. Black gaze. We joked about it years ago. It's how it sounds so much the same. Rob Hellfire, it's flag, not fog or plaga. Flagg, a Finnish black metal band. Like Willie K already said it, it has nothing to do with flog, fog or plaga. It's flag. You might notice the names from Stephen King books. Julian is asking, what do I think about Mikospa's side activity? Now, there are many. Creamface is his porn crime project. Then there's Nicole 12, which is, I don't know what it is musically. I think some kind of a industrial. Then there's also his harsh noise projects, and he has done some comic books. He has done some home pornography. He runs a record label. I mean, two, not just Northern Heritage, but the noise power electronics one. Uh, he has a record store, so he has quite a few. Hello, crazy white boy with capital letters from Baltimore, the home of the famous TV series The Wire. Yeah, I think most bands should not give a fuck about the genres they're given. Just do the fucking music and let the other people box you in. Dukes, I've never actually, properly given Hammer a chance. I know it by name and all, but I don't even remember what's the music like. So, what can I say? I've kind of managed to avoid it. Yeah, 11, maybe you're right about the rebellious music. Yeah, Sir Moon, I think it would be nice to see Antichrist Seeds Machine live. They sounded like nice guys. But yeah, really, I'm not into NSBM. Most NSBM bands just fucking suck, man. I don't want pro life bands. Fuck that shit. Fuck political bands anyway. Yeah, not the red flag guy is a really good guy. He's a good friend of mine and one of the guys I could really like. Here's my home keys. If I die, do the fuck what you want, man. He's also one of the guys who is always with us with the sharing our Airbnb at Steelfest. Rob Hellfire, I'm not nowhere near of getting butthurt. Don't worry about it. Baltimore being famous for a hotel called Gaylord. No, got that bit interested about Gaylord. Well, Julian, if you can make it happen, let's make it happen. I'm referring to Infernal War. Yes, absurd is overrated. Never liked it that much. Too melodic and stuff. All right, guys. Seems like I'm caught up with the back scroll and all. So, do you have some last comments, or can I go watch Silo? Oh, talking about Beharit, met the Beharit drummer last weekend, and he was really nice guy to talk to. And they will obviously play in 2 months in my home city, headlining Turku Saatanalle. So I told him I'm gonna visit him and Holocausto for a quick hello, because we did that Holocausto interview on Zoom during the COVID year, meaning nobody was able to see one another. And he was such a nice guy. And now the drummer of Beharit is really nice guy. So what the fuck can I say? Gotta meet those guys again. And yeah, Sarcophago tribute kind of a thing is happening at Steelfest. So I would like to interview that. Naturally, the Silo is a sci-fi TV series on Apple TV based on sci-fi book series. It's a dystopian sci-fi series. So yeah, Cherry Lamp, I think something can offend me. I'm just yet to figure out what. Because, I mean, what the fuck would I be, care to be offended? Like, you know, you can try, and eventually I think I will be offended by something. I'm just not likely to be. So many people have tried to offend me with various ways, and I think I mean, it's possible, obviously, but it's not too likely, especially when it's some anonymous asshole. I'm gonna take that as a challenge. Um, Raven, I have asked the Hexen guys because both of the guys, Hoth Thorog, the vocalist guy, and Horns, the drummer songwriter, they're friends of mine. I always see them more or less at Steelfest and whatnot. I've asked them many times, can we do it? And Horns always say like, I have asked Tarog, but it seems like he's not willing to do it. So I'm gonna just respect that. I mean, it's a shame because we are friends, and I think they would have a lot to share about occultism as well as the music. But if they're not comfortable of doing video interview, then what can you do? There's that. Oh, natural, you wish. I don't give a fuck if people insult sauna. What the fuck? It's not my doing. And even if it was, you can still insult. You can insult my bands. You can insult my looks. You can insult my stupid jokes. You can insult my music. You can insult my channel. So fucking what? You can insult my dick and eat it. Julian, I'm thinking of Grant Belisle's retrospective. Sure, but now I'm focusing on the retrospective videos with the bands I have interviewed. And when it comes to interview, well, it's hard to interview Grant Belisle's key guys if they're not present because I do face to face interviews. Yeah, I naturally I think Behexen is better than Sargeist, and Sargeist is better than Horna. So there's that. But then again, Horna has some of the better stuff that is better than either of the bands, like the Evangels album. In my opinion, Behexen or Sargeist never did as good album as Evangels. But on average, Sargeist and Behexen are better than Horna. Gamer World, gamerword.net. Thank you for being on the stream. Come on, Natrid. Saying Behection is mid to trash. No, come on. What about Willie K. Barathrum? What about Barathrum? I've done already Barathrum retrospective and interview, so there's that. And Horna retrospective, let me see how far I've gotten. Because I mean, when I'm doing a retrospective, it means I'm literally listening to all of their releases. And yesterday I met some of my black metal friends over dinner. Some couple was visiting here in Turku, and then one local ones. We were like four people, all friends and all, knowing each other like 20 plus years. And when I was telling them I'm actually listening to whole Horna discography, they gave me this look. Really? Are you really listening to everything by Horna? This should be telling you that it's Horna is more like this Finnish saying, a proverb that that sometimes you are not a prophet in your own country, but around it in foreign countries, so to say, meaning that Horna probably has more fan base, more liking outside of Finland. I mean, don't get me wrong, Horna is liked in Finland as well, but I think most of us old timers in Finland, we don't really see Horna that valuable, not that great. So when people are praising Horna, it's usually from United States or Canada or I don't know, Germany maybe. But in Finland, nobody's saying like Horna is like the best band ever. Maybe younger generation thinks differently. Anyhow, I was telling that I'm doing Horna discography, and now I'm around the year 2011. Yeah, the next album I will be listening to will be Askel lähempänä saatana, which is 2013. So I'm like 2/3 done with Horna. And this includes all the splits, all the EPs. The only ones I've skipped are live albums because obviously, well, live albums are not important in terms of retrospective. It's just live versions of recorded songs and certain compilations, which just are compilations made of previous splits and EPs. So, once again, including another set of songs earlier released. But everything from Varjoissa, the demo from 1995, and I'm staring at Horna on Metal Archives. I'm thinking I'm like 2/3 done now with Horna. I was listening to Sanojasi äärelle album or double album today at the gym. So that included, and we're talking about I'm skipping the live album from 2009 and already did that EP from 2011, Adventus Satanae, earlier today. The next album is indeed the album from 2013, Askel Hämpänä Saatana, which means there's only like three more albums to listen to. Hengen Tulet from 2015, Kasteessa kirjoitettu 2018, Kuolema-kirja 2020. So four albums. Because I already obviously listened to the Nyx, the latest album from year 2024 earlier in the fall of 2024. And then there is only like a handful of splits between 2013 2024, because really the most active years for Horna in terms of EPs and whatever were around between 2001 and 2010. There were lots of splits and EPs. So once you're like past that, it's more like less splits, less EPs, and more focus on the albums. So yeah, once I'm done with listening to Horna discography, then I will be, you know, checking out Beheksen, and the next Finnish black metal uh, episode will be done. Alrighty. So, to your questions, I think I will have the last beer of the evening and then the last questions too. So I'm gonna flush the glass. We're already past 2 hours mark in the stream, so let's try to finish it soon. But one last beer and one last set of questions. 30 minutes, whatever. It's so funny that it's outside. Even the cans of beer are frozen. And now I'm going to type to my friends. Two hours, 22 minutes. And I'm going to type him. So here we have the final beer of tonight, Raspberry Dream, double fruited sour, raspberry, apricot, brownie, vanilla, vegan. So these are not just ingredients but also keywords. What to expect? So expect raspberry meeting apricot saying hello, brownie is like hello, I'm in the background, and the people are going to say, hey, we're also vegan, and it's going to include some vanilla. For me, I love sour beers. Sour beers are like great blowjobs. Not for everybody, but man, I love them. Both blowjobs and sour beers, that is. So, yeah, when people think I'm dirty guy talking about sex and beer and metal, I mean, it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm not going to lie. Some of the best things in life are sex, music, and working out. Those who don't know why they are so great, well, they're missing out. So here we have this one last beer of tonight. And indeed, this is a colorful, fruity, sour beer. Very orange like. You could really imagine me drinking a carrot drink. Hude Huttunen is saying, do we consider War Master Exaltation of Cruelty versus Amungandr? Love both. For me, easy. Exaltation is so much better for me because Amungandr was a really disappointment for me. It was suddenly so clean and melodic and polished, whereas Exaltation is raw, fierce, and Judas Iscariot worship. All right, let's go reading once again the back scroll. Um, SK saying, by the blessing of Satan, that is, a Baxon album is better than anything Stargaze ever did. I kind of have to agree, or at least say it's pretty much on the same scale. And Horna is mid as fuck, mostly, unfortunately. So Horna is so easy to listen to, but so easy to forget. In my opinion, Baxon and Stargaze are clearly better. But like I said, Evangel's album from Horna is better than whatever Sargeist and Beheksen ever did. So there's that. And Beheksen Horna split. Beheksen is clearly so much better. So there's that. But the latest Horna is one of the best Horna albums ever. And yeah, Corvus is definitely the best Horna vocalist. I gotta agree with that. Man, this is the best beer of tonight. And all the beers, I can now show you what I've been drinking in case you came a little bit late to the party. These are the beers I've been drinking. Started with Father of All Beers, Quadruple IPA, New England IPA. Hard to say, 11%, 11% or 11.5% strong, so wine level stuff. Followed by Vanilla Macchiato 1 hour later. And now finally, 2 hours later, Raspberry Dream. So three different beer styles, three different strengths. This latest ones is only as mild as 6.4% or degree, like some people say. So yeah. And I believe good comment. Same thing happened with a lot of Norwegian bands. They're much bigger abroad than here. Yeah, that's kind of a given. It's hard to stay, you know, big band in your own home country and the audience is coming from outside, you know, your own country. All right. Yeah, naturally, in my opinion, Satanic War Master is so much better than Horna or Sargeist. And Azaghal, yeah, they are like B-level band. Don't get me wrong, Azaghal guys are nice, but as a band, it has no contest versus bands like Sargeist, Behexen, Horna, Clandestine Blaze, and all that stuff. But then again, I mean, it's like Satyricon. Satyricon isn't really a great band these days in terms of recorded albums, but the old classic ones are fucking great. Oh, I really like the new Satanic War Master because it wasn't melodic, so that is that. But still, the new Satanic War Master album, as much as I like it, I wouldn't put it in more like maybe top four because the first three albums are the best Satanic War Master albums. Um, Yeah, Rob Hellfire nowadays, being a vegan thing is a great selling point. So, like I believe said, isn't all beers vegan? Well, most likely they are. And Lucas, I agree. Berliner Weisse and Gose are amazing. I mean, in general, sour beers are fucking great. And Willie K said it: sex, strings, and metal. That's pretty much the best. Watermelon Gose sounds very good. Lamp, you only tried first IPA a week ago. What the fuck? I tried my first IPA around maybe 2009, and that was in New York City, by the way. But they are so bitter, and that's why I like them. They're stronger than typical lagers and what do you have, and yeah. But 2009 in the United States changed my mind. Suddenly the IPAs were the thing. It was as fundamentally changing thing in my life as finding black metal. Yeah, Antti Tanhua. I know by fame and name, Departure Chandelier, but I never actually listened to them. And I didn't actually know that they are singing about Napoleon and stuff. But yeah, people have been saying it's good stuff, but I've been just overwhelmed by the amount of review albums and all. And Willie K is asking, what's been the worst trend in black metal that I want to kill? That black metal decided to go into society, like political themes like RABM and NSBM. I want to remove the political things and opinions in black metal. I want black metal to sound inhumane, dark, vile, sinister, grim, evil, dark. So yeah, not about can we have this Vogue society or should we try breeding white babies? What the fuck? Yeah, Julian, sex drinks metal, just like Sarcophago was singing. Exactly. I wouldn't say even post black metal is not that bad. I mean, there are some really good ones, but yeah, most black stuff is not really my thing. But still, I think the political black metal thing is like fuck off. I think most post black metal is just giving a little bit of a black metal flavor to whatever you're doing. 11. I still haven't seen Rare Exports, even though people were already telling me good stuff about it, like I don't know, 15 years ago. But I never watched it. Oh, Julian, for me, the first Satanic War Master LP, Strength and Honor. I was actually wearing the shirt today. It could be my favorite, Satanic War Master album. It's so gravelandish in a way. Oh yeah, World War II trend in black metal is like, oh, get the fuck out of here. I mean, sometimes I think that if people want to go that sketchy, that weird, they should just listen to bands like Carnivore by Peter Steele. Yeah, Netherwood, I agree. Some of the the worst thing is, this post black metal things like Liturgy and Death Haven and War, all. But it was so funny, when Canon and FIBA was listed as, this black metal, sorry, Metal Tempest video channel in the thumbnail, and Canon and FIBA has been trying to, fence off all these sketchy thingy, even beyond NSBM, and now suddenly they're lumped up with the same thing. I believe. I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. Philosophical topics are interesting and, in my opinion, important also in black metal. So when it gets political and kind of like starts to sing about everyday things like the mundane topics, it's like fuck off. Exactly, gay life metal. What the fuck? All these Aryanic things. I'm like saying, are you Indian? Because Indian were considered as very Aryan. So if you have Aryan topics in black metal, are you really thinking about Bombay? Yes, very good, very good. We can talk about the you okay, people coming to India and let's make a Bollywood black metal. Very good, my friend. You have come to right place. Let's get some curry and let's party like heroin never came out of fashion. Very good. Would you like to have a bag with that? Yes, very good. Curry, my friend. Very Aryan. Welcome again, and thank you, SK, for your nice compliment. Would you like to have some curry to your Tennessee address? Very good. Ariana Black Metal coming your way. Uh, yeah, like I said, sometimes you got to add a little bit comedic value. I mean, we're talking about serious topics all day, all night, and all. But I mean, let's be honest about it. We're still human beings. We get to have a laugh at it. So, that's why Marty exists. So, we can't be serious creatures every fucking time. Go to Steelfest and you notice what is. Everybody's like, yeah, we're going to the Scream Black Metal Festival. And people are like fucking drunk, hugging, and seeing the bands and, all that stuff. So, my point here is we can be serious and we can enjoy some comedic value with that stuff. So, yeah, glad to have you entertained a little bit because life would be fucking boring if we were serious all the fucking time. And trust me, when I do my music and when I figure out the lyrics for my band's Nightside or Annihilate, it has to be super fucking serious. And it's to a degree it's kind of annoying that when I focus on the more serious topics, people kind of get away. When I get into my nihilistic moods, and I'm not gonna say it's like a mood, but you know what I'm talking about. I hope. Um, People are like, yeah, I better go that way, because people don't really like when you get really grim and really dark and that nihilistic things. People are not enjoying your presence. So you switch into more comedic things. Yeah, Willie K, you're totally right. And I really like the bands that can, have that dark humor, you know, within. Like Master Hammer, I guess, is a good example. And there are so many bands that they're not publicly, you know, very humorous, but they can have a laugh at them themselves. Graveland had weird fucking photos, which has a kind of a comedic value. I think Weakerness, Burzum and all have had a lot of those moments and not taking themselves too seriously. Fenris of Dark Throne, for sure, has had a lot of, you know, that humor in the whole aspect. Then yeah, Imbel Nazarene is a good example. Yeah. So indeed, you can have serious music and you can a lot of humor. Satanic War Master, the man behind Werewolf, he's a very very versatile character in that sense. You see one side of Werewolf and it's really super fucking serious, and the other guy is goofy as fuck. And you get to see a lot of that things if you end up at Steelfest, for example. And that's one of the reasons why I end up defending death metal so often. That death metal guys um tend to have easier time, laughing with their compadres, with their scene. And black metal has more this, posing culture, really. All right, Nader, it was nice to have you here on the stream. Take care, mate, and to see you on the Discord side. Yeah, Abath seems like a nice guy, so that's why it's shame that the interview never happened. Raven, you're likely to meet Werewolf drunk as a skunk at Steelfest. He's a nice chap. Yeah, Asakal guys are fun to hang around with. I totally um, agree, and I think I know the Kalmanganda guy you're referring to. He's a good dude. Chai Roland, I interviewed Immolation in 2022 or 21. I mean, I have this great link for you guys. This link includes most of the reviews I've done and pretty much all the interviews I've done. So, in case you wonder what the fuck there is on Rauta, just open the Rauta's interviews tab and you will see when the interview was done and if there are any comments. Like, yeah, Immolation was done already 2019. Damn, time really flies. I was thinking it must have been some 21 or so after COVID, but it was before COVID. But yeah, I mean, like, save that link for you, or just browse the interview playlist. Uh, on the channel, and you will find all the interviews. I mean, I've done with my people almost 200 interviews so far. About it to me, it shows 190, or actually 189, but that includes some of the interviews which are not, band interviews. There's some special ones like the Jesus Crew, Turku Saatanalle, and audience interviews. So technically speaking, we're talking about like 180 or so, and I don't know if it's uh totally updated. So there are like some things which are on my list. I'm like trying to figure it out. Um, if some things are not added to the list. But yeah, you will also see the list includes the ones I've done, but also the bands that are saying not willing to do interview, including bands like Abath and Behexen. Then someone you have suggested me to do, like Bloodhammer, Dead Reptile Shrine, Hooded Menace, Malum. And then there are some interviews which are already marked as agreed, just seeing when they will happen, like Avsku, Batushka, Chamber of Unlight, Curse Upon a Prayer, Deus Mortem, Gehenna. So some interviews are already like being agreed to be done at some point. So let's see if they will actually happen. But my point here is just save that link so you get to easily see which interviews are already done and when they will. I actually have to add one interview here already on Peer. That interview we already did, but it's an old Swedish black metal band, by the way. And that's not just edited yet. There were some corrupted video files, so let's hope I get it out in January. But it's a little bit, um, problematic. Not because of the answers, but video material got corrupted. But Unpeer is one of those 1991 founded Swedish black metal bands, playing kind of a old school black metal or black trash if you don't like the concept of old school black metal. And yeah, Immolation guys are the one I got to talk to, the vocalist dude. Yeah, down to earth guys, really nice. So there's that. And yeah, I believe I know that war metal bands coming from India, but I personally find like Kapala like kind of boring. I've reviewed some other Indian stuff too. They are better bands, but Kapala is like just kind of boring war metal noise, really. Raven, yep, no problem. My pleasure. Oh yeah, SK, nice to have you here. And once again, thanks for your donation, SK. I really hope that you get to make to Steelfest 2025 because man, I owe you a couple of beers. So try to make it happen. We should hang out totally if you manage to come to Finland. I already know that my thumbnail guy Chris C is coming to Steelfest. He just notified me that he got his flights booked. So Chris C is coming to Finland as well. He's a great guy, and he's the mastermind with the graphic design for thumbnails and all. Yeah, Cheryl. Now they are two primordial interviews, and Alan Everly is a smart guy, and he's fun, and like you said, intelligent, really nice guy. He's one of the guys I kind of managed to befriend over the interview. So it's not like just like me, some random dude asking questions of some band, but more like friend to a friend in a way, if you know what I mean. The same thing would happen with Talke and Hust, for that matter. That's one of the best things in the business. I get to meet a lot of great people, and when chemistry is right there, they become your friends. So there's that. That's one of the most rewarding things in doing the interviews. You actually get to pick brains of interesting, creative people. I love it. It's very very rewarding. And yes, I'm talking about Batushka, the real one. I mean the fake one, the new one. It's called Patriarch. So they changed the name recently, already last year, and now Patriarch is coming out with a new album. And Batushka won the right to keep their original name. And in my opinion, that's just how it's supposed to be, the fair one. So I talked to Badushka guys when they played at Steelfest, and we kind of agreed to do the interview. But at that time, because the show was already over and the guys were packing stuff, I mean, we couldn't do it that moment. But at least I finally reached the right guys because I've been asking them to do the interview, and I got to talk about the Badushka main guy about the interview, and he was like a nice guy, and I was like, man, I really need to talk to this guy because of the whole drama, but because they created their own thing back in the days with Batushka's style of music and the Orthodox Christian visual style aesthetics and all. So yeah. So I hope to do interviews both with Patushka and this patriarch. Yeah, I mean it's not very old news, but it was I think the later part of 2024. So they went into the court, and Batushka is now still Batushka, and the fake Batushka or the new Batushka is now Patriarch. So, in my opinion, all good. It's better for the audience that the audience get to understand the difference, of these two bands. Because while the music is quite similar to each other, and both are obviously from Poland, of course there are these different takes, how the music is, how they are staged. So I've seen, for example, Batushka a couple of times, but I haven't seen Patriarch. So I don't know how it is, but I would like to hear the both stories because, in my opinion, both stories need to be heard, despite whatever you think about the music or the rights or whatever. But I think both parties need to be heard. So let's hope I get to do them both. Yeah, exactly. I believe I totally agree. I mean, it's definitely taking this visual side from Christianity. So some bands take it from Catholicism, like Ghost does, and then again they are doing from Orthodox Christianity, which is definitely more like a Russian thing, because in Russia they fucking love the gold and God is almighty. Look at the fucking bitch and rich kind of a thing. It's almost like the hip hop culture of Christianity, if you really think about it. The bling bling kind of a thing with that stuff, and it's fucking crazy. But I mean, religious people are fucking crazy. So what do you know? But anyway, I think we're pretty much done with the stream. I probably have to wake up in about 8 hours. I promised to my kid we're gonna go a little bit bouldering tomorrow or today, technically speaking, since it's already on the Sunday side of things. I'm supposed to have bouldering, which means climbing on the wall. Uh, I'm supposed to have yet another gym session. I'm supposed to have night side rehearsal and also visiting my dad with his wife. So it's gonna be like a little bit of family get together. So I'm like, like a lot of things to do uh, in life. No, Willie K. Bouldering means that you are climbing the wall, but with no safety gadgets. But you're only a few meters high. Just the small grapples. You're basically scaling a wall, but not with the safety belts and shit. So bouldering is that. Yeah, 11. The funny thing is, I like Patriarch more than Batushka, so there's that. Yeah, Lucas, I mean, I agree. The real one is the real one, obviously, but still, I want to hear both stories. I mean, it wouldn't be neutral if already decided which side I'm gonna take. There's the difference. If you wanna hear one side of the story, you never know if you're gonna hear the villain story. And I'm not saying either of them is the villain. I mean, look at this. I've already covered this on my videos back in the days. The same thing has happened with Gorgoroth. Remember when uh, Gal and King of Hell tried to take over of Gorgoroth when uh, Infernus was a little bit on the side, and then Gorgoroth wasn't really active, but these guys tried to, Gal and King of Hell tried to take the Gorgoroth name, but they couldn't, so they created what was first known as Godseed, and later on it became Skalsvurd with a little different lineup, and then again later with Skalsvurd there was also Treldom activated and all that stuff, and Invernus got back on Gorgoroth. Also, we had Turbo Necro in a way that Hank von Hell got out of the band, and suddenly there was like Hank von Hell doing Turbo Necro kind of music, and also Turbo Necro. We also had Venom and Venom Inc. We had Queensryche and ex Queensryche people doing similar music. All I am saying, as fans, we are winning because suddenly we have both stories of the bands. And let's not forget Demonas and Immortal. You know, when Demonas was on the side, Abath with Horg were doing, Immortal for a lot of years. Then eventually, Abath was more or less kicked out of his own band. And suddenly, you know, Abath became Abath instead of Immortal. And even Hork got into fight with Demonas over some songs. So suddenly we had Abath and Immortal run by Demonas. And what the fuck Hork is even doing? So my point here is this Batushka case is by no means just one, like the only band having this kind of a feud. In my opinion, the Venom and Venom Inc., with Kronos on the other side and Mandas and the crew on the other side, it's just one great example how these things can go. Who is the real villain? Who is the real winner? Who is the real good guy? Uh, so there are lots of these stories. All the immortals and demonas, all the venoms, all the badushkas, you know, similar cases really. Yeah, I believe it. Kind of a rock wall climbing, yeah, but it's called bouldering. Lucas, yeah, I've tried to get Hypocrisy for interview as well when they played in, I think, 2019 in Finland. Uh, I like Hypocrisy and I also like the later stuff, but I mean, they really haven't been playing in Finland that many times. I think Hypocrisy has played only a couple of times in Finland, and I've seen both times. But yeah, Raven, I agree. In my opinion, when Gall and King of Hell and whatever got out of the band, it's like Gorgoroth became a poor version of what Gorgoroth used to be. For me, the best Gorgoroth are the first three albums, and ever since it has been in decline. Live, Gorgoroth is still strong, but no album since Twilight of the Gods hasn't really been that good, and even Twilight of the Gods and Destroyer are not as good as the three first albums. So there's that. Well, I believe I gotta say, yeah, the latest Immortal album is their best one since Battles in the North. But then again, in my opinion, also Abbath did better albums than what Immortal did with in the middle of the career. Like what the fuck is the album with the red and black colors? I'm forgetting the name. That's when Iscaria was in the band. Damned in Black. Yeah, I think uh, Abbath's own albums have been better than, say, Damned in Black, for instance. So an M4 HS or MASH, I agree. It never ends well for either party. It just usually ruins both parties. But fans get two bands for the price of one in a way. And yeah, Lucas, I agree. Gorgo, these are a great live band. I recently saw them in like Beyond the Gates last year, and I've seen Gorgor like four times within like 2 3 years. So yeah. So in a way, the bands they have their feuds. They lost a lot of money to lawyers and probably out of merchandise. But the fans are like, hey, we got good bands. We have now Immortal, and we also have Abbath. We get to see Venom Inc. and we get to see Venom. I've seen both bands. I've seen like Venom with Kronos recently last year um at Beyond the Gates, and then like 2 years ago at Inferno live. But I also saw Venom Inc. a couple of years ago at Steel Chaos. So I'm like, hey, I'm winning here. I get to see both versions of the band, so I'm not complaining really. Antti Tanhua, I have to agree. Hest is a great live vocalist, and he does great job both with Tolke and Gorgoroth, and also a little bit different in both bands. So he gets to go into both roles in a different ways. So there's great. Oh, by the way, Raven, now that you mentioned Hoth quitting music, I was told that Hoth was in Bergen's metal bars last year too, and I was like, shame. Should people have told me that I would have come quitted Hoth of Gorgoroth, because he was indeed maybe the best vocalist Gorgoroth ever had. And yeah, I've also heard the story that Hust time with Gorgoroth is coming to an end. I don't know why, and to be honest, I haven't dared to ask Hust about it because me and Hust we keep in contact, but it feels like I'm being the weird guy if I would ask him about it on WhatsApp about it. So I'd rather ask him face to face. What's the story? If the rumors are true. Yeah, I don't know. I believe what's the drama between Venom or Venom Inc. But point is, there is enough drama when you have both bands, doing that stuff. Uh, yeah, I don't know, Raven. Maybe I will see Hob again beyond the gates because he was around in those Bergen bars at the time. So yeah, if he was judge in the tattoo competition or whatever, let's hope he will be there. I don't know, but yeah, for 2025, it totally seems like I'm going to be at the gates as well. Yes, I have had Pilsner or Urquell years ago, and I'm told it's better when you have it in Prague rather than exported. So I don't know. I haven't had it for years. I've been to Prague a couple of times, and it's a great fucking city. Yeah, I need to go back there because I've been there twice. It's I mean, let me put it this way. The first time I was there in 2005 with my friends, I finally like come to understand why there were some artists who were really inspired by the river going about and the cityscape. The mood was like if I was a fucking painter, I would have found my solace right there. To fucking paint, have a little bit coffee, a little bit beer, a little bit liquor, and then more painting and all that stuff. So I could really imagine it must have been special back in the days. And when we ended up in Hell's Bells, the famous metal bar they have in Prague, it was fucking perfect. So when we went there as just random group of tourists listening to metal and all, the people are like, "Hey, what do you want to hear?" And we're like, "I don't know, play some Bathory." And they, I think, played Hammer Hard while we were just drinking perfect, you know, uh, Czech Republic stout called Kelt, Kelt, like a Czech version of Guinness. It was so fucking good and it was cheap. And there I was with some of my best friends listening to Bathory in a metal bar. This perfect beer. Life was fucking perfect at the given time. Later on, I went there in 2008 with my girlfriend back then. It was fun, but obviously it's a different when you go with your lads rather than with your girlfriend. And yeah, we had a little bit drama with that girlfriend. That relationship didn't last more than 6 months. But still, I could say two times in Prague, I fucking love it. And now I just need to find an excuse to travel there. Maybe, hopefully, there will be some metal event and I can use Rauta as excuse to go there. But yeah, been two times to Prague, and it's been one of the best places I've been to. I mean, I love traveling. That should not be a um, come to surprise to anybody. And like I said previously in this stream, I've been to New York 3 times, and I fucking love New York. The vibe is just so different from Prague. So yeah, great city. And 11, I tried to do a Finderol interview. Actually, was it last year or 2023 when they played at Inferno? But there was a communication breakdown, so it didn't happen. Yeah. Yeah, Raven, if you ever go to Prague again, go to Hellspells. It's definitely worth a visit. kind of a perfect metal bar in so many ways. It's an underground cellar and a great mood and nice people. You will find home there as a metalhead. Uh, if Keld is from Slovakia, I don't know. I got the impression it's a Czech beer, but anyway, either way, great beer. Well, yeah, no strip clubs. I've never been a much of a strip club goer myself, but I visited this great strip club in Manhattan when I was New York, and those ladies were like mind blowing. Yep, given lap dances, I was suddenly like, I now understand why there are those. But yeah. And it doesn't have to be black metal related. I mean, I'm as much as thrash metal and death metal and all. So it doesn't have to be black metal when it's about me traveling. So it can be just anything related to metal. But no, thank you so much, people, for hanging around with me 3 hours and in. It's past 10 past or 11 past 2 in the night. So I think I'm gonna get a little bit late night snack and go to bed. Because like I said, I have that climbing today and gym session and I have band rehearsals. So I gotta go to bed. But thank you so much, people, for having this talk with me. It has been fun with the beers and you all the time. And let me check out the calendar. Um, the first weekend in February is February 1st. That is the most likely I will do the stream because the next one will be um, February 8th when I'm on Nordic Metal Cruise, and the next night after that is Super Bowl. So, nope, that weekend won't do for me. So if you want to mark your calendars, the next likely Rauta stream will be the 1st of February. So get your beers ready, get your questions ready, and we'll see you in a few weeks with that. Now, thank you so much, guys and girls, and whoever you are. Stay metal, stay true, and be safe, guys. And catch you. Bye bye.